now I understand why I drank to like, you know, escape these traumas or whatever and to like feel differently. And so I thought like that was it. Like now I know, now I've addressed it in treatment and therapy and like now I can drink normally and use normally. Like I don't need to like run from my trauma anymore with booze.
Because now I know what it is and everything's fine.
Here's what's underlying this behavior. So like I'm good. I'm probably good now. I don't need to use alcohol in excess or whatever. I really thought that like the self-knowledge I acquired there was gonna fix me. I was like, well, now I understand myself better.
Yep. I think that's where like the smart people try to like talk their way out of like being an alcoholic. They've ran the numbers, they've ran the equation, they figured this, if we just do this and this and this, then I won't have any problems. And I think that's one of the scarier addicts that alcoholic addicts that I've ever ran into is those ones that are like, I might take a tool or two that you give me, but they're just really like, I got this. Welcome to Sober Champs episode 23. You know, the Michael Jordan episode we talked about, you know, looking back at how many episodes that have been done now, I never thought I'd get here. I never thought I'd have a partner like this or even a guest at this point in 23. You know, it's not always easy to do this podcast, but I really think it's very helpful for myself. It's helpful for others. Just getting the story out of people that, you know, they normally would probably never meet unless you were here in this podcast. And so anyway, I wanted to welcome Allison to the podcast and just introduce everybody. Aidan's over here.
What's
How you doing, Aidan?
Well, good. How about you? We've been doing it. You've been doing the podcast for 2 years now.
Yeah, I think.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
That's crazy. Time flies.
Blowing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's weird to look back at how it started and like how uncomfortable I was. We used to wear like the headphones, but like what ended up happening.
Would you hear yourself talking?
So he was like,
oh my God, I could never.
It was like this little echo that my ego just loved. And it was
you liked it.
I liked it, but I was distracted by it and it was not okay.
Yeah.
It was just not okay. And
it'd mess up my words.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that. Although I do love to hear myself talk.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying.
Maybe I would have been kind of into that.
Yeah, I was kind of like, you know, if my rap career came out, like, you know, as a teen, I might have been a rapper. Like, it was just like, I could be a good rapper one day, but I'm like, not.
So you like the sound of your own voice in the headphones?
I did.
Man, I did not have that experience hearing my own voice recorded. I'm like, oof, that is rough.
Oh, you should hear. So Aidan and I talk about like not listening to our episodes. It's really uncomfortable for me to hear myself in an episode.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, sometimes I've gotten better at it, but a lot of ums and uhs and missteps and missed words, and it's just really cringy to me. And so I have a hard time listening, but I've been really working on trying to just listen to it and see where we're at with the podcast, where we might be able to improve. And so it's like this courageous step I've taken to try to just listen to it. It's okay.
Becoming a listener.
Yeah, you know, and it become and so I'm more comfortable with it. But it's I used to just be done with the episode and be like, okay, I don't even know what happened in it,
and I don't want to know.
I don't really want to know. You know, there would be people. I mean, Pat was telling me about the time I talked about and see I owe a financial amends. And he brought it up like a week and a half ago when I saw him. He was like, Pete, yeah, you talked about the Home Depot air conditioner that you just like walked out with. And I was like,
when did I?
I was like, I did, didn't I?
My husband
like,
brought this up to you?
Yeah, well, this
That's
was
so funny.
Yeah, it was like this moment of, damn, Home Depot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anyway, I woke up. I woke up out of that like, oh shit, I got shit to do. But anyway, I digress.
Takes skill to do that, though. Listen,
I mean, it's a hard thing to do. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is what the podcast helps me do. Is it helps me hear your story.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go on a journey tonight, and you're gonna tell your story, and we're gonna have some fun. So usually we start the podcast off with your sober date.
Okay.
Yeah. When
I got sober September 1st, 2013.
Okay.
That's a good.
So I just celebrated 12 years.
Oh, congratulations.
Which is crazy.
My sister's belly button birthday, September 1st.
Really? There's a lot of September babies.
Well,
did you know that?
So I'm a September 9th. And his sober date is a September 9th. So his sober date is my birthday.
You guys have that little connection going.
Yeah. We found out about that on the podcast. So anyway, yeah, it was crazy. So, hey, congratulations on 12.
Thank you.
Yeah. I celebrated 6. I think Aidan,
congratulations.
3.
Yeah. So we're out here rolling right along.
3, 6, 12. I like it.
Yeah, come on.
Doubling. You're the big dog tonight.
Yeah, the big dog.
I can't believe
a lot of time. Let's go.
Yeah.
So that brings us, your sober date. Where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
Born in California, but moved here at 6 months old. So I always say born and raised in Seattle because it's essentially been my whole life. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Where in Seattle were you born?
North Seattle. Oh, well, I was born in California, but we lived in in the Green Lake area.
Okay.
Green Lake area, kind of by Blanchette High School. That's where I was raised. Yeah. And then we still live in North Seattle. So our house is in Ballard now.
Yeah. Did you ever move around? Were you
I lived in, let's see, when I was a kid, we lived in Switzerland for 1.5 years.
Whoa. Wow.
My dad was on sabbatical. So we went and moved there. I think I was 8 when we moved there, 9 when we came back. We were there for about 1.5 years. And then in my late teens, like 17, I lived in Bend, Oregon for 1.5 years.
Sure, we'll hear about.
Yeah, you'll hear how I got there for sure. Okay. We'll get into that.
Yeah. So, how was your childhood? Pretty
good. I mean, so I wasn't raised in chaos or, trauma or any of the stuff that you hear amongst kind of our population a lot. I think there was a little bit of a lack of love given freely. It was a little bit conditional, the love, and there was kind of like a bar set academically. My parents were really into academics. They're both PhDs, really smart. My dad's Jewish, and I don't know if you know anything about Jewish culture, but academics, success, that kind of stuff is really important to them. So there was a little bit of that going on. And I didn't always feel like I measured up to the expectations. And so the love was a little bit conditional. But other than that, it wasn't too bad. And you just heard me speak at Magnolia. So I had the ism, though, from the earliest memories I have. The restless, irritable discontentedness that a lot of us have, I had that growing up, kind of despite everything being sort of okay around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was one of the signals that you found yourself restless, irritable, and discontented looking back? Was there moments that you can recall that were you know what? I was in this situation and as a kid, I obviously couldn't identify yet, but now looking back, you see yourself ooh, that was a moment.
Oh, so many. Oh my God. I mean, I couldn't be alone. As a kid, I could not be alone. I couldn't play alone. I needed constant interaction with other people. I needed to be entertained. I couldn't sit quietly with myself, which I think as you move into addiction and early sobriety, a lot of us can relate to that. But so I couldn't be alone. I mean, my parents would tell me no. And I was like, no is not an answer I'm going to accept. You know what I mean? They would be we'd go get ice cream and they'd be you can have a kid scoop. And I was like, no, dude, I'm getting a grown-up size scoop. And they'd be nope, kid scoop or nothing. And I'd be cool, then I'm taking nothing.
Yeah.
Can I swear on here?
Yes.
I'd be fuck you guys. I'm taking nothing, as a kid. And I would be so mad about that.
Now, did you get nothing, or did you walk away with an adult size scoop?
No, I would get nothing. Yeah. I mean, I would stand on business. I'd be I said, I'll take nothing, and they'd be are you sure? Because you can have a kid's scoop, and I'd be no, dude.
So what are your
my
grades?
Way or the highway, baby? I was I was so hard to raise, and now I'm raising 2 girls, and I'm man, I was a lot.
Yeah, you're scaring the living daylights out of me because my son behaves just like this. And I'm oh my God.
I was that horse that wouldn't break. There was no breaking me. You know what I mean? And also my parents would tell me not to do something. And I'm also super ADHD too. So I think it was a combination of the restless, irritable, discontented, and also just crippling ADHD that was untreated and undiagnosed. But man, they'd be like, don't touch that. It's hot. And I would just like touch
Put your face on it.
I would just touch it. And they'd be like, and then I'd cry and they'd be like, why'd you do that? And I'd be like, I don't even know why I did that. I couldn't stop myself, you know?
Yeah.
Compulsive.
The curiosity.
Super compulsive.
Yeah, I want to learn about. That's one of my traits is like, I usually have to learn by fire.
Oh,
like
yeah.
You say it's hot? It's probably not that
You can
hot.
warn me all day, and I don't get it until I go through it, you know?
Yeah. I really try to work on that, though. Like, I try to hear somebody's story, and I'm like, hey, man, look, I don't think I have to go that far to find this out.
I've gotten so much better in sobriety. I think the whole deal is like we get to learn through others' experience, right? And I've actually learned how to say like, oh, they're warning me about this thing. Maybe I don't need to like blow my whole fucking life up to learn this. Yeah. I can like take from their experience and learn it that way.
Like the ability of not knowing the answer, like calling and asking for that like suggestion, right? Is like
and being open to hearing other people's advice. Like I was not open to that growing up and through my teenage years at all.
Thinking you know it. You already know it.
Yeah, you think you know everything.
The invincibility, you know, like that's I can relate to that. That's what I think when I hear you say that. Yeah,
so then you're growing up. Let's say you get you went to Switzerland, then you come back. Do you come back to Green Lake area? Like you guys had the house still?
Same house. They rented it while we were gone, and we came back after that. That was super hard on me. Like, I don't know. It was the change. It was the language barrier. It was like being plucked out of the life that I was comfortable and familiar with and put into like this whole new world. And I had a lot of like stomach aches and like weird physical symptoms of the anxiety I was having as like an 8 or 9-year-old, you know? And they were taking me to the doctor and trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And like nothing was wrong. It was just like anxiety from being in this new place, you know?
Yeah.
So that was hard.
We didn't talk, you know, back in the day, it's like we didn't identify anxiety yet.
Right.
It was like this whole thing of like, you're sick then. You know?
Yeah. So you must be, you must have a virus. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. So you get back, what schools were you going to at this time? Are you at Blanchett? Are you at middle school? Are you at what kind of schools?
Yeah, so I came back and I finished out elementary school, and then I went to Eckstein for middle school.
Yep.
Yeah, so over in like Northeast Seattle. And man, shit really like took off in terms of my like behavior, my use. I mean, it wasn't even really use yet. It was behavior.
Yeah.
You know, the risk taking, fucking acting out, like that stuff started hardcore in middle school. For sure. Yeah. That's when it took off.
You got some good ones.
Yeah.
God, that was crazy.
Well, you know, we like to, you know, every once in a while just expand on those stories, right? Yeah. So like when you were in middle school, like what's an example of one of those stories? You know, what would you, are you talking back? Are you like fighting? Are you skipping school?
Skipping school. I mean, I was, that might have been more high school with the sneaking out, but like we're getting to it. I mean, I remember turning 12 and I don't know if it was puberty or what, dude, but like the hormones, I don't know. I remember like thinking in my own head, like, oh, I'm fucking crazy. Like I remember being like aware of the fact that I was doing crazy shit. Yeah. I mean, we were just acting like super delinquent. You know what I mean? We were, we had a friend, Emmy, who like broke her leg, and we like took her crutches and like threw them in this river. We were like tormenting. Yeah, our friend. And we were like tormenting each other. And then like somehow we got in trouble for that. And we were like,
we got in trouble for that.
Yeah, because it was not very kind behavior. But yeah, we got in trouble. We got, we were like getting on the school bus and we got pulled off and they were like, come in here. And, you know, we were starting to get in trouble at school for behavior like that. Like I was just super reckless and out of control at that age. And like there was a lot of, I feel like the mean girl stuff starts in middle school. And I really got the impression that it was like eat or be eaten, you know? And I've actually never on the inside been a mean girl. Like I don't like to show up that way. But so I felt really bad about it while I was doing it. But I was like, dude, if I don't like join them, they're going to come for me. Yep. And like I experienced some light bullying, you know, but I also was like, I'm just going to join up and like participate in that from the other side because it feels a lot more powerful to be the bully than to be bullied, you know?
Course,
for sure.
So there was a lot of like survival instinct there. So we were just like mean little bitches in middle school.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, vicious.
Yeah, that scares it. So there was a situation literally yesterday at my, so I live across the street from this elementary school. Yep. And there was these two boys that looked like they might have been in 4th or 5th grade. And it looks like school's about to start. And it looks like they're about to like skip school. And
you said elementary school.
Okay. Right?
That's young.
Man, it freaked me out, right? So I'm brushing my teeth. I'm looking out my front window and I see these two, 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th graders stepping away, but then they had these kindergartners following them, and then they turn around and be like, you could just see them being like, stay there. Do not come follow us. And then the kid, they were 3 or 4 of them, and then a 5th grader looked like they came over, they had a discussion, and then they dispersed. The younger kids went back to the school, and then these two boys turned around, looked left, looked right, and they started to mob down the block. And I remember being like, hey, and they just froze. And I was like, hey, go back to school. And they turned back around and they went back into school. So watch this though. It was yesterday. But then what happened was I go out to drive my son to school and they're looking, you can see them like afraid that I'm going to go tell somebody. Yeah. So I go across the street and I'm like, I'm going to go tell somebody. Yeah. And I'm going to be like, hey, man, you got kids out here about to walk off in elementary school.
What is that school doing? Like, our whole drop-off, getting the kids in school is so tightly regulated at my daughter's school. What's going on there?
So
someone needs to figure that out. That's crazy.
So I didn't. So I go over there looking for a staff member, and there's like 30, 40 kids out front just waiting because they won't let the kids in until a certain time. So they're out front, they're hanging out, they're out acting wild. So I see them dip behind this like door, like they were like, here he comes, and I see him, and so then I walk by him, and I walk back, and I look right at him. I go over to him, I say, "What's up, fellas?" They were like, hey, and they were scared. And I was like, hey, man, listen, you guys shouldn't be skipping. Hey, the one kid was like, we weren't skipping school. We weren't. And I was like, hey, I'm not here to fight with you about or argue with you about whether you were skipping school or not. My main concern was you had these little people following you, about to follow you to wherever you were going. Well, we told them to turn around and leave us alone. I said, I understand. But let's try to be some leaders out here and like really like not do that. And like, why don't you stay at school and be a part of this leadership and be a cool cat that goes to school? So then I was like, hey man, listen, I'm not telling anybody. It's just between you and me, us two right here.
You're like, I live right there.
Yeah, like
fucking watching you, bro.
Duh. Do that again and I'm watching. I'm a bust. And,
I'm watching you.
Yeah, but it's this idea of like, it started even earlier right now. And I'm nervous over like what's going on out there. So I had to share that story because it was just on my mind. Like if that was my son mobbing off and like, I don't know. First of all, I hope somebody's watching my child when I drop them off at school. Mm-hmm. So that's a big deal. But anyway,
how old is a 5th grader? I can't even.
Oh, they're like
9, 10.
Yeah, 11. Maybe. I
feel like 10, you start 11. Middle school at like 11.
Yeah. 11 or 12. I think middle school is 12, right? So I think because Lionel's 8.
No,
so he's in
second like grade. End middle school 9, at like 13,
10, right?
Yeah, you might be right. 11.
Like they're young when they start.
10 or 11.
Yeah, I feel like they're ending elementary school at like 10 years old.
Yeah,
I love that you
6th grade is 11,
went and like tried to like almost parent someone else's. People don't do that in the U.S.
Yeah,
it's so funny. In Switzerland, people would do that. If someone was acting wild on the train or something, random adults would come over and be like,
Switzerland, Pete.
They'd be like, you Swiss?
No, Irish.
They would stop that behavior. Like it was more of a collective kind of.
Yeah. There was just this moment of like, I don't feel my integrity was on the line of like watching where are you going?
Yeah.
Where are you going at 8:40 in the morning and not to school?
Yeah.
This is not okay. Wherever you think you're going, not cool.
Yeah, those are kids. Those are babies.
And I was like, man, it just freaked me out. And I was like, if I don't say something, I'm gonna be eaten alive by that if something were to happen, like, oh man, I'd be the one that was like, yeah, I saw him leaving.
Good job.
I didn't say anything. Yeah, but I guess why I'm saying all that is because, like, there were times in my childhood where there were people that would stand up even though I wasn't there. Children or community was a big part. Right now it's very like people I think are afraid to stand up and be like, yo, that's really not cool. And
that's why it's amazing to me that you did it, because people don't do that.
Yeah, I'm just not afraid. The weirdest thing about this is, like, I'm not really afraid of, like, the moms or the dads. Mm-hmm. I've come to an acceptance of, like, what's up? Like, I'm not.
Do you think you get that from coaching a little bit?
I think I get that from just being, like, in the gym all the time and being, like, strong and knowing that, like, if we're going to argue, we're going to argue. I have no problem arguing. But there comes a point where our society is pretty wild right now. And, like, there's weapons and there's things like that. But I've never gotten into a situation where, like, it's got really scary in that regard of, like, parent, stepping up and coaching a child or parenting a child that's not mine in a very, I'd say, aggressive way. Right. Of like, yo, man, like, I'm just not going to talk. I'm not going to get ran over by some third graders.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just not doing it. Mm-hmm. I'm not. That's just not me. Fourth grade, fifth grade, like, it's just not gonna. 6, 7, these guys are really like, these little kids are like out here doing. Do you know what that is? 6. You see, look, she don't know. So that's the new shit. Like, hey, look, Fredo here. Look at Fredo got the song.
6th and 7th grade.
Exactly, 6, 7. Shout
What's
out.
that?
So it's just this whole thing. We'll get it later, but it's this thing that these little people are doing that are like these little people are doing. But it is so funny because a guy like myself who's old, will come into baseball practice and be like 6, 7, and these kids are just like, oh my God, Pete, you know what that is? Like, it's like,
so this is like the slang. The kids have some crazy slang now.
It's like slang. It's like something where you just like, it's an inside joke amongst little people where the adults get really like, what is that?
Yeah,
you're going to the principal's office if you say that again. We're not.
That's
doing
like
that,
actually
right?
real though. Like the kids can't say that. You were just telling me.
I was saying these kids, they come to practice and they whisper to me, Pete, it's like, in our school we can't say that. And
6, 7?
Yeah.
It's a bad word.
7.
So me and Pete will like text each other. We'll be texting each other. We'll be like, what's up, twin?
You'll look it up after.
What's up, twin?
Low key.
Twin.
Low key. High key.
Hey, low key twin.
Yeah, to continue our honesty with you, which will, here we go. We'll just jump right into it.
Let's go for it.
So, man, the phrase is very popular around here lately, or for the longest right now, is this phrase of like, to be honest with you, right? And for me, it's a very personal thing because I get triggered by people telling me this, even though I know it's a habit and I know it's a habitual phrase, but I get very triggered by it because we could have been having a 5-minute conversation and then this phrase comes up, to be honest with you.
You lying to me?
Yeah, to be honest with you. And then I'm like, well, what have we been doing this whole time? Where's the... do I have to go back and fact check you or truth check you throughout? Because I love honesty. I love truth. You put it out on a platter and it has no flavor to it. It's just raw.
Yeah.
I thrive in that environment.
Yep.
Some people take it personal or feel like, at least what I've noticed about myself, when people like they kind of tiptoe around like the honest truth with me, and I wonder, like, am I like scary? Like, why can't you just tell me that ... Why can't you just be very frank and truthful and honest? Why do you have to like dance around things to get to maybe where, hey man, fuck that. What's really on your mind?
Yeah.
What are you really talking about? So going back to be honest with you, what's your take on this? What's you guys' take on this phrase? Like,
well, I think we were texting one day, or we were on the phone, right? And I said, to be honest, because I say it a lot, like even now. And we I don't even know how we got to the point of like, we should change that to continue my honesty. So we made a new one. We made the remake, the better version. to continue my honesty, but it's like such a bad habit for me. And I don't like it either. I feel like it's like implying that you're lying. That's what it is. That's what it implies.
And and I think this is where when we brought it up to Allison before the podcast, I was enjoying her
take on it.
Yeah, because I knew that's where some people go with it. It's just I hesitate sometimes because it's like, is that really where you're going with it, or are we really just having a hard time telling your truth?
We're just lying to each other.
Yeah, like
we're just lying.
Yeah. So what's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like we were talking about, I don't think I use it a lot in like my interpersonal communications, like with my friends, with my people, with other folks in the program. I think it comes up more for me in professional settings. Like if I'm going to write an email and I'm going to break from I'm not in corporate, but like corporate speak where I'm like, well, how does this email find you? And whatever, like when we're kind of bullshitting a lot at work, because there's sort of this standard that's been set around professionalism. If I'm going to like take a little risk and break from the decorum of professionalism, and I'm about to just like lay something out that's more like friend to friend to someone I have a professional relationship with, I might be like, listen, I'm going to be honest with you right now.
Yeah.
And that means we're taking our relationship to a new level. Like this isn't just like a bullshit surface level professional conversation anymore. I'm going to take a risk here, like a social risk. And I'm going to be like very honest with you.
Beautiful take on it. I totally agree with this.
That's really the only time that comes up for me.
Yeah, but I think that's where its intent is. Yeah. That's what I feel like the intent of, to be honest with you, comes from. Yeah. Which is that we're going to set aside this bologna sandwich, societal like bullshitting because I don't really know you maybe very well. And then I'm going to say, look, let's cut to the chase. This, to be honest with you. And it's become such a habit. It's become such a habit in society that cats just use it all the time. And it irks me. Yeah. So you can tell I get worked up over it.
Well, I have to catch myself because for a while I wasn't even recognizing, like on the way here, we were talking. And I says, to be honest, I'm like, wait, no, to continue my honesty with you, brother. But it is really normal. I feel like a lot of, people my age, I feel like it's my age kind of, I feel like it comes up more, Do you feel like people your age say it often?
I think it's a universal phrase. It's
widespread.
Yeah, I think it's universal. I think it's just picked up habitual, and then people just overuse it and don't even know sometimes that they're using it. And it's just, I was talking to Aidan. It's like, I'm going to lie to you right now. Yeah. I'm going to tell you a lie.
Let's lie to each other, brother.
So we're going to lie.
Yeah, no one says that.
We're going to lie. Right? We're going to lie to you. We're going to do it right now. So as we continue with your story. Yeah. So that was a beautiful sidebar. All right. So now middle school, X9.
Acting crazy.
Now,
not really doing drugs yet.
So have you hit the weed yet? Have you had a drink? Have you tasted the taste?
I started all of that the summer after middle school. So I was like 12.
So going into high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. My middle school. Yeah. Yep. That 8th to 9th. We were 8th. It was 8th grade, right?
Yeah, we were 6th through 8th was middle school, and then 9th through 12 was high school. And it was the summer between. I think I was. Well, actually, I remember the first time, obviously, because those are big moments for people like us. But I was at same girl whose crutches we threw in the creek.
Yeah, man. Shout out. What's her name?
Emmy.
Emmy, man. Shout out to Emmy, man.
We're friends on Instagram. She's going to see it for sure. Hey. Emmy's legit. We talk now. We're good. Everything's good.
Fuck those crutches.
I wonder if I made amends to Emmy for that. Well, I can't actually remember.
You might have some work to check on.
Yeah, some work to do after this.
We might have to check on some of that.
Send Emmy the podcast afterwards.
I will. I'll be like, Emmy, we need to talk. We both have babies now, so we commiserate over that. Yeah. Summer after we're at Emmy's house, there was a couple houses that we snuck out of because my house was highly regulated. You know what I'm saying?
Security
Nothing was going down at my parents' house. So it was a couple friends where I was like, I go there and then I can do what I want to do. Right. So we were there, a bunch of girls there. We go to the park right by our house, Frula Park. I think it's in Roosevelt. Okay. Do you know where like the reservoir is in Roosevelt on like 70th? Yes. There's a park right behind there. We were freaking out. We met a bunch of boys. We started drinking.
Yeah.
And
of course.
I think it was like wine we stole from her parents.
Okay. Nice.
We drank a lot of Bacardi in high school. I don't know why, but that was like...
It was the
drink.
In boxed wine or bottled wine?
Bacardi.
That's a rum.
Yeah.
But
you said that you stole some wine.
Yeah, the first night it was wine and maybe like the guys had beer. I don't know. We were drinking. I wasn't drinking much before I was drunk. You know, like when you're young and you're like 2 beers deep and you're shit faced. But yeah, and I mean like clothes were coming off. We were acting scandalous, which was like a big, like those two went hand in hand early on. Obviously there was like the scandal, there was like getting attention, which I was big attention whore, loved it. Like it was equally as fulfilling as getting loaded for sure. So there was like all of that happening and I'll never forget it. I was like, oh my God, is this relief from what I've got going on inside, And I was like, everything was easy socially, which I was usually pretty in my head about social interactions, and that kind of went away. So did it, and I like could not wait to do it again. Yeah.
So high school. I was moving to high school. Do you play any sports? Is there any outlets outside of this that are are you an artist or go ahead.
Yeah, I played soccer starting at like 8 to 16, I think. I played soccer in high school. I think my first year I played soccer. And then I did swim team in high school too.
Okay.
Yeah, but none of it really stopped my, extracurricular activities. Yeah.
It was the other way around for me, where my use stopped my,
Oh, I would start things. I was big on like starting things and not finishing them, or doing it for like one season and then like never doing it again because it was getting in the way of partying and hanging out with friends, which was pretty much my priority at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate. What high school did you go to?
Nathan Hale.
Oh man, we got some Hale cats that came through here.
Really?
Seth
was in here.
We were just churning out drug addicts and alcoholics at that school.
Seattle Public School District, man. Shout out, man.
Yeah.
We come a long way, man, but
And it was so funny. All the schools had sort of like, all the schools had a vibe, right? Like we all partied together. We all went to the same kegs. Like we had Roosevelt. Those guys were drinking. Ballard. I mean, I think we said Ballard had STDs. I don't know. Those guys were fucking. I don't know. Like we were hanging out with them. The Ballard boys were like
they were not
top tier.
Man,
they were like.
Okay.
Hey man, no, listen.
We like the Ballard boys.
Listen, man. Ballard's got a lot of shout outs on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went hard in Ballard.
We
went hard
in Ballard. You would go hard in Ballard.
Yeah,
you would. It was a place.
I got picked up by the cops in Ballard. Yeah, we went hard.
Yeah, it was like its own like island. Magnolia was an island, but like Ballard was like a bigger island.
Yeah. Well, and we had all the guys from Magnolia coming down into Ballard.
Yes, you did. That's where they came to.
Yeah.
Yes,
and then Hale was the druggies. I feel like we were on drugs.
You'd be like
definitely
grunge. I was like, if you had, it's funny. We could have a T-shirt about like the high school areas and like name them certain things. But it was like a grungier. I felt like Nathan Hale was like a smaller, like subculture of like you guys are definitely like experimenting with things. Like there's a lot going on at Nathan Hale. You get a lot of things at Nathan Hale.
Yeah.
They're creating resilient adults, Pete.
That's what Nathan Hale about that.
I don't know about
that.
That's
with
not
all
really
the Nathan Hale shout outs we're getting and amazing
That's
people.
so funny. There's been a bunch of people from Hale.
It wasn't, but we all know, if you're from Seattle, you know what's up with Nathan Hale. You're going up there and
we had this like bluff back behind it. We had a name for it and I can't remember what it is now. It's like, it's gone. But yeah, the street up, because Hale's at like the bottom of it's like in a pit. Like every year the school flooded because we had Thornton Creek right behind. So we would have like 3 days off because water would just like come into the school from the creek. So like up behind there, we used to just party up there, smoke weed up there, hang out up there. It was like the meeting spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, you started to, you mentioned kegs and things like that. I don't know did you ever go to a keg?
Yeah, we talked about this on the last episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you went to kegs there, here and there?
It was in Maple Valley. That's what, pretty much, because that's where I was, in Maple Valley. That's like everybody, I was kind of like the outlier with my drug use, because everybody just wanted to drink. for the most part. For the most part, that was like we had a big drinking culture down there.
That's more like acceptable high school behavior, right?
What, the drinking?
Yeah.
Smoking weed.
Yeah.
I feel like but I don't even think smoking weed was even that acceptable. I feel like it really was the drinking.
It was like drinking, smoking weed, and then all this other stuff were like no-nos. Mushrooms, ecstasy,
Man,
cocaine.
everyone was doing mushrooms. Are you kidding me? People were like foraging the magic mushrooms themselves, like over by Licton Springs and stuff. Like it was interesting too, because I had a group of friends from middle school, right? And these girls were not on the level that I was on in terms of like the trajectory I was heading down with my use. So I kind of had like this shift where I made new friends in high school, people who were a little bit more on my level. And these were girls who were like fighting. I mean, these girls were like ripping each other's belly button rings out and shit, which was never my deal. No, seriously, like ripping piercings out of like each other's faces. Times. Oh yeah. Yeah, I had this friend named Nandi, and she was that middle school or high school? I think it was high school. I don't know. She was kicked out of all of the public schools. Like she was in the school that they send the kids who have been like, they had like a level system, Like and if you get to like a level 3 or a level 4, like you're not allowed in.
It was called Marshall.
Yeah, you're not allowed. Exactly. She was at Marshall. You're not allowed in Gen Pop anymore. You're like in segregation at that point. You know what I mean? Like they're keeping you away from the other kids. But anyways, we would go party at Nandi's house, obviously, because.
For sure.
Because she was ripping the belly button piercings out.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but there's also like the supervision, right? You'd find the places where the supervision was lacking so you could do what you needed to do.
Yep. There was like an overabundance of supervision at my house, so I was trying to get the fuck out of there at any point that I could. Yeah.
So bring us to a story or two in high school that like you started. I'm guessing it started to get a little out of control.
It did, yeah. I mean, I guess I'll get to how I ended up in rehab for the first time, but before.
At what age?
17.
Okay, so you were in high school still.
Yeah, I was. Right. Yeah, I had like a counselor there who like intervened and brought my parents in and was like, she's not.
That's pretty cool.
She's not doing well. You know what I mean? Yeah. I guess there was some, Hale had some, they were killing it on some levels.
They weren't clueless.
Seattle Public Schools is losing their substance use counselors and counselors that will do that.
Man, that makes perfect sense in the wake of the fentanyl epidemic that's killing people rapidly. Perfect sense. Let's get rid of the substance abuse counselors.
Oh man, if anything, you keep them.
That's you lose. That's
I know. I'm with you on this. It's like,
more.
Come on.
Yeah, in fact, they should be like investing more in that type of.
With what money?
Yeah, I don't know.
Find it. But going to the situation where you got the counselor to intervene, but take us to maybe an incident or two that were like red flags even for yourself.
I mean, I was always the kid who was introducing new drugs to the group of friends, right? Like we were drinking, we were smoking weed. Everyone seemed satisfied with that, but I was not satisfied with that. Like I had this friend named Jack. He lived in Blue Ridge of all places, right? Like privileged kid, like had no business being like a little coke dealer, but he was. And so like I start getting blow from Jack, I'm bringing it around my friends and I'm like, you guys got to try this. And they're like, oh my God, it's cocaine, because we're kids. And I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. Just try it. So I get my friends doing coke. Also, I was dating this kid named Sean who was like a mess. You know what I mean? I always found the boys that were like a total mess. And, started doing ecstasy with him too. So there was a lot of like ecstasy and cocaine, like party drugs that started to happen in high school. And what's interesting about that though is that I think drinking was always like, it was like the first love and it was like the worst for me. Like drinking was by far the most out of control. Drugs were like, I can do this once and not do it again for a month. Yeah. The drinking, and more than like just an addiction, it was like the ways I behaved when I drank were like so out of character and so wild and like baffling, right? Like I was like, how did I behave like that last night? I would never act like that. But then like, here I am acting like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just, hearing a person just share the way that I was behaving is so very comforting.
Yeah.
Because I was just so boggled by like this alcohol thing. Like I would drink and I would be thinking to myself, like, I'll just control it. I won't get too fucked up. I won't get too loaded. I won't be the wildest in the party because like That was me the first time. So now I'm gonna have
a better handle.
Yeah, I gotta have a better handle on it. But for some reason, it like just was never. I could never tighten it up.
Yeah.
So then I was the wild one at the party. I was the one that was, and I couldn't control it. And so it's just very comforting to know that like I wasn't alone.
Oh, I was always. I mean, I would wake up and everyone was pissed off at me.
Yeah.
I would be in trouble all the time with my parents because my dad said to me one time, he was like, dude, he was like, if you could do it in a way that wasn't so out of control that you got away with it, we wouldn't be on your ass all the time. Like, fucking get away with it. Try that. And I was like so out of control, I couldn't get away with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was running through Ballard like naked one time and the cops roll up and they're like, hey, they're like yelling at me through like a megaphone thing to stop. And of course I'm not stopping because I'm like drunk and I'm like, I'm not going to stop. So I'm like running from the cops and I get like tackled down by this female cop and I didn't get brought to jail, but she brought me home. She was like, where do you live? And I was lying to her about how old I was, where I lived. I'm trying to get out of this.
Name is, all
of it. I'm like, no. You know, more than anything, I'm like, take me to jail. It's better than taking me to my parents. Like, I'm not about to deal with them right now.
No.
Yeah, I was like, it could not be worse than what's happening at home. But my boyfriend at the time was there, and he's like, yeah, here's her name, here's where she lives, you know. So she brings me home, and my dad actually tells this story. He was like, dude, that cop, she brought you home, and then this is like, I guess, shout out to there are some decent cops out there. He was like, she waited on our porch. She stood out there for like 30 minutes to hear if you were going to be okay, like to see if we were about to beat your ass for the way you just behaved and what you just got brought home for. He was like, so that woman stood out there. He's like, which is crazy. He's like, I think about it all the time. Took time out of her day to like make sure that the home I was brought home to was, I guess, safe for me after the way I was acting.
Yeah. I mean,
which is
shout
interesting.
out, there are some good people out there that are
an interesting story.
Yeah.
Some good police officers.
Yeah. Very, very true. There are some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember any of it, but yeah, these are the stories that
you're told.
These stories were impactful to people in my life, you know, and so I get to hear them.
I'm curious to know, at this point, was cocaine starting to become normal in the culture at your school?
No, there was a subculture, right? There was the bad kids and I was one of them, and we were just kind of like, you know, the lost cause kids from like really bad homes, kids that had no supervision. And we were doing some of that, but really I think cocaine was just like never my thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's like a brain. I have like this theory. People who were like really addicted to heroin and like opiates, and then I guess now it's like fentanyl and stuff, they love cocaine. That's like what I've seen. People, I did not go down that route, right? Like my drug of choice was not an opiate, and I don't like cocaine. Yeah. Like I never liked it.
Cocaine sucks.
I would do it. Once you do it, you want more of it, but like it was not an enjoyable experience for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't let you drink more?
I mean, I don't even know. I feel like it was maybe, maybe, but I think we were usually like, we were on the blow when we were doing the blow. You know what I mean? We were just doing more and more and more and trying to like feel good. And I never had like a euphoric experience with cocaine ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't my thing.
Yeah, mine was always just like, first of all, I would always tell myself, if I never bought blow, I was good.
Yeah.
And so,
but if it was there, you're doing it.
Oh, shit, might as well try it out. I remember, you know, as a younger man, it was like really bad. Like cocaine, where I grew up, like in the area that I did, in the central district, it was like crack was cocaine. So you do not do cocaine because that's crack. So you cannot do that. Yeah. And so then it was like this dirty thing. And then, you know, shout out to Ballard again. You go out there, these cats.
This is some highfalutin cocaine.
Them motherfuckers was like, yo, Pete, you got to try this. And these are trusted people. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, man, wait a second. I'm not supposed to be doing this. Yeah. Like, I'm not supposed to be. But then they're like, Pete, it's like, they'd be like, it's okay, brother.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Just try it, brother.
Just come on. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, just try it, brother. And literally, there was that moment. But again, like, I just start grinding my teeth and I'd be like, man.
It's too short. It doesn't last long enough. It's just aggravating. That's how I felt about cocaine. I'm like, dude, I can't be needing this again. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people are hooked. I mean, we just had somebody talk about how it was like the thing, you know, like days.
There's a lot of people where they just love it. I don't know. I didn't get what I was looking for out of cocaine.
I think it's supplemental, you know? Like whenever I did cocaine, I was drunk.
Yeah.
When I listen to Theo Von has these incredible...
God, I love Theo Von. He's so fucking funny, dude.
Theo Von.
He's
man, he makes me
funny.
laugh so hard. And
oh,
like,
my God.
Some of his coke stories are like, there was this one time where he said he was doing blow in his apartment and he had been doing so much and he would like get dressed in these like vests. And he had a whole bunch of vests and he would walk around naked other than the vest. And like there was this one time...
Yeah, you just start doing weird shit like that.
Yo, and he's like, you know, he's all high and he's like checking, I think he's checking like the peephole and he's like, and he starts the blender and he's like gonna do like have a smoothie or something. And he like goes outside of his apartment like in his vest. I'm not
with
sure if
nothing else on.
I'm not 100% sure. I remember it might have been because then I was like, wow. And he locks himself out and starts a fucking
it's like my worst fucking nightmare.
He starts a fire in his apartment and like he's gotta go get the landlord now to be like, hey man, like I think I'm starting a fire because the blender is going, and so he's got these stories, and it's just that's the type of coke like addict that I can't necessarily relate to at this point in my life, but I know they're there.
Yeah,
I know they're around, and so
I ended up. I mean, and I'm sure we're getting there.
Oh, we're going.
Am I
right
jumping
now.
The gun? Okay.
Nah, you're boom. Let's go.
I mean, I ended up I ended up in treatment, right? But like later what happened through a series of events that we can talk about is like I ended up on meth, and man, that is
hold on.
That's a hell of a drug.
Pause on meth. Yeah, we don't really talk. We need.
We don't really talk about meth.
No, we haven't gotten some good stories.
Yeah. There,
like but like this is where like we don't. There haven't been very many candid stories and detail about meth, so we'll
you don't have any tweakers on here?
We've had some, but we don't really get to the tweaking
man, there's
part.
So much weird shit.
So hold on, so right before you go to treatment, you haven't. I'm guessing what an intervention of sorts.
Yeah, I mean, we were drinking at school. We would, you remember the camel backs or camel packs, whatever, and you fill them with water and you go hiking. But we would fill them with like. Do you guys ever do Spodie? Was that just like I don't know if that's like a special Seattle thing, but yeah, the fruit and the booze and it like ferments and turns into this like hoochie situation and you drink it. Disgusting, dude.
Yeah. But it got you fucked up.
It's so funny. My good friend Husna at the time comes from a very Muslim family, right? So I don't know why we were doing this at her house because they don't drink. But we were like brewing the Spodie under her bed and her mom was like, Husna, what is that? We were like, her brother was a fucking mess. So we were like, it's him. Like, go check his room, you know? And so we were drinking Spodie. We were filling the camel pack with that. And there's like no coming back from that too. Yeah. You're not hiking and drinking water out of that again. You know what I mean? Because it's fucked. But
one-time use.
Yeah, totally. So we were like drinking that in math class. We were, exactly. We were in like an aerobics class and we were so drunk in this class and we have the little steps, and we're like falling off the steps. And then all of a sudden the school security guard comes in and like drags us out of there. And like the truth starts to come out, right? Like people have been seeing it. There are adults at the school have been seeing what's going on. And like, I end up just telling the counselor what's up. And I'm like, I mean, and here's the other thing. I was so miserable at home that part of me was like, maybe this is how I get out of my house. Like, maybe I just say, like, I got a fucking bad drug and alcohol problem. I need to get out of here. And so I tell him all of this, and they're like, you probably need treatment. And he's like, let's call your parents together. And so we tell my parents, and then treatment happens.
Where'd you go to treatment?
It was called, God, what was it called? The first place was in Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
Cottonwood, de Tucson. It was like out in the middle of the desert, very fancy. I always joke that like my treatment centers got like
Cottonwood
consecutively shittier, because people were really over everything I was doing. But yeah, Cottonwood, it was women only, and they had like a girls. So it was, I think for the adults it wasn't women only, but they had a girls only like adolescent unit. So I got sent there.
Interesting. And you liked it?
Yeah, and it's so funny because
how long did you say?
I feel like it was longer than 30 days, and maybe it was 60 days, like 2 months or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then towards the end of my stay there, and it was really interesting. Like we talked a lot about trauma, and we talked a lot about family origin stuff, and we talked a lot about like why we use the way we use and like what we've been through.
Definitely.
And I really thought, I love to talk about this because it's such a recovery concept, but I really thought that like the self-knowledge I acquired there was going to fix me. I was like, well, now I understand myself better.
Yep.
Now I understand why I drank to like, escape these traumas or whatever and to like feel differently. And so I thought like that was it. Like now I know, now I've addressed it in treatment and therapy. And like now I can drink normally and use normally. Like I don't need to like run from my trauma anymore with booze.
Because now I know what it is and everything's fine.
Here's what's underlying this behavior. So like I'm good. I'm probably good now. I don't need to use alcohol in excess or whatever.
I truly believe that that's something that's just not talked about.
And that was not true, right? Yeah. Is like the moral of that story is that it doesn't matter how much you understand about why you did it or where your trauma comes from or any of that. like
can't think your way out of it.
No. Yeah. Has nothing to do with understanding it. It doesn't even have to do with understanding like the physiological. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, the physiological reaction that we have to booze. Like none of that matters either. It doesn't. None of it matters.
See, and I think that's where like the smart people try to like talk their way out of like being an alcoholic or an addict.
It's hard to be a smart alcoholic.
Yeah, so I think it's like one of the most scariest things I've ever seen.
Yep.
Is a smart person that's like, I got this, Pete. All right. And then all you can do is just like hope for them that like they can have that moment of surrender because this thinking that they have all these plans and this way of setting it up and then they drink again and they get high again. They're like, no, I got it. I figured, I know what's up. So this is a cycle.
They've analyzed it and they think they know how to do it differently next time.
They've ran the numbers. Yeah. They've ran the equation. They figured this, if we just do this and this and this, then I won't have any problems. And I think that's one of the scarier addicts that alcoholic addicts that I've ever ran into is those ones that are like, I might take a tool or two that you give me. Yeah. But they're just really like, I got this, man.
Well, it's hard when you're someone who's been able to figure out everything else in your life.
Yeah, smart and successful.
You're so smart. You've always gotten your way. Like your intelligence has brought you, to wherever you wanted to be in life. But like you just, it's actually, it puts you at a disadvantage
especially when your life isn't in ruin,
Yeah.
When you're
if you're kind of like everything is doing okay. Yeah. Like a functional alcoholic or whatever. Yeah.
Well, you convince yourself. You convince yourself that you can function on it. That's the scary part.
It's like the kryptonite, right? You can have everything going other than this one thing, and you just keep trying to fight it and figure out and analyze it, and it's just not. It sometimes it never works for people.
Yeah.
All right. So you go down to Arizona. 60 days, you learn about yourself, trauma, all
the parents come in. We do like parent, we do family counseling.
Any siblings, by the way?
I do, yeah. I have a little sister, Emmy. Yeah.
Shout out to Emmy.
Yeah. Emmy is not one of us.
She's great.
I mean, I feel like she like skirts around the edges of having the ism, but like nothing's so serious she's ever had to do anything about it. And she's doing fine. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I wish I could have been.
How old is she?
She's 3 years younger than me, so she's 31.
Nice.
Okay.
Lives in Spokane with her husband. They moved out there and bought a house. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's what's up.
Good for her.
Yeah, Emmy's the best. She's so fucking funny.
Shout out Emmy.
Shout out to Emmy.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So did Emmy come and visit you at this time? Did you, or not? Maybe not.
Did Emmy come to like family week? I don't think so. Man, I was so selfish at this time in my life that I actually can't remember. I noticed this about my memories too. Like if it didn't have to do with me, everything else was on the periphery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think Emmy came to family week.
Maybe.
But maybe.
We hope you did, Emmy.
I don't think she did.
We hope
I think it was just my parents.
Yeah. It may have been just them. It sounds like you have all this, and you're set up for success, and you come back and you are plopped right, I'm guessing, back at home.
So actually, towards the end of my stay at Cottonwood, they were like, hey, listen. And they started, they brought everyone in the room. I could tell. I'm like, oh, shit, they're about to, drop some news on me that they think I'm not going to take well. So they've got, the crew here.
The team's here.
Yeah. And that was that they wanted me to go to, aftercare. So they wanted me to go to, another treatment center that was more of, an extended
like
thing.
A long-term PHP with housing.
Long-term. Yep, with exactly. Housing, yeah. So, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm not going home. Yeah. I don't want to go home to my family. So yeah, send me there. It was fine. It wasn't a big deal. They sent me to Bend, Oregon.
And what was the name of that place?
North Star. It doesn't exist
I know
anymore.
About North Star.
You do?
I do know about.
It's
North
gone
Star.
though now, right? They've shut their doors.
I think it is gone. I think that there is a new North Star though.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if it's
North Star was interesting because there was a lot of like rich and famous people's kids there.
Yep.
Like I was like hooking up with the son of the guy who managed Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, like the Olsen twins. Yeah. Harrison was shout out to Harrison.
We remember.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them then. Because you got to fill your time with something when you're young and you're not doing drugs and alcohol, right?
Real.
And you were sober through that process too when you were in Bend. At least at the sober living.
I was sober for a while. So that was a 6-month to year-long program. I think I was there like 10.
Okay.
And then I convinced everyone I was good.
Nice.
And I met a guy there. That's the beginning of like the end. He had left the program. He was like staying in a motel in Bend.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to start going. I was still in the program, but I was going to hang out with AK.
At the motel.
At this motel. Yeah. Because we had some freedom in the second half, right? The first 6 months, that's a little bit more structured. And then the second 6 months, you're kind of in your own apartment. You have to be at some of the activities and some of like the curriculum that they have for you. But you're a little bit more on your
freedom.
own.
So you like tear up.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, he was staying at like the Rainbow Motel or something, the Rainbow Inn in Bend, Oregon. And I was like going over there, and that's when I start fucking around. You know what I mean? Like I was buying adult Robitussin because we got drug tested, but I was like, dextromethorphan or whatever the drug is that makes you high in Robitussin. I'm like, that's not going to show up on these UAs. So I'm buying 2 bottles. They each have 20 capsules in them. I'm popping them all open on a plate because I think they'll release faster. I don't want to wait for the coating to dissolve in my stomach. So I'm like popping them open, taking I would take 27, 30 at a time. So a bottle and a half. Ooh. Yeah. And that shit makes you really high, really high. I remember being like, I am shocked that these over-the-counter drugs are so effective. Wow. So I'm doing that with AK. I'm like, it's fine. Like, it's not popping on a UA, whatever. And then, and also we're going to AA a little bit in Bend, Oregon, but I'm not getting it. It's not clocking for me yet at this point. Like, we're going. I'm not really working the program. I'm not having any type of experience yet. I meet a woman there, and she's my sponsor, but we're not doing step work, Yeah. And then I tell my parents, I'm doing so great. I have a sponsor. I'm going to move in with my sponsor. I'm ready to leave North Star. They're paying out the ass. I think they had to take out they had to refi the house to pay for these treatments because these are expensive places. Yeah. And I think they used my college fund. I think that's what it is. They were we had saved for your education, but now rehab.
We're gonna try to keep you alive here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They were like, that seems like the priority right now. Yeah. So, so I move in with this woman, and I can't find a job because this is after 2008. I think it's 2009 maybe. And Bend is like a tourist kind of economy, right? And just people aren't traveling because the economy's just collapsed. And so there's just no jobs in Bend. I'm looking for a job. I can't find one. And so I start babysitting for her kid. And so she's working during the day, and I'm just watching her kid all summer because her kid's out of school. Oh. And it was great. But man, I felt like in Seattle, you're kind of like a small fish in a big pond, but in Bend, I feel like we were like big fish in a small pond. And that felt really great. We were like, we're kind of a fucking big deal here, and we start meeting all the locals, and we start partying with them. And I think a lot more prescription painkillers come into we're doing a lot of Dilaudid and that kind of thing. Nice. We're doing that. Nice. Yeah, it was really nice. And lots of ecstasy. And
how is Dilaudid used? Is it just
orally?
Pills?
We're just taking it orally. Yeah. Okay. That's the first time ever free-based cocaine. We start smoking the coke, and we started getting into everything. And I'm with this guy, AK, at this point, and AK starts getting into heroin. There was a lot of deceptive behavior in that relationship. And so I don't really know what AK is doing, but AK is starting to smoke heroin. Yeah. And, I don't know, did I try it in Bend or did I wait till we were back in Seattle? I don't know. I think I probably tried smoking it in Bend, but there was taking pills, smoking pills, that kind of thing. And it really starts to like escalate there. You know what I mean? And we stay for the summer. I can't find a job. So ultimately, like we end up moving back to Seattle. Me and AK do. We live in Northgate. We were in an apartment in Northgate. And I was working at the Columbia Tower Club. Are you guys familiar? It's like up on the 76th floor of like the Columbia Tower.
Fire. That club is fire.
I was serving up there. I was like a server. And
what year was this? Or maybe.
God, when was it? So after I left high school, by the way, for treatment, like I never went back. Like I just finished remotely and they worked with me. And I also had some running start credits. So I was able to like graduate, but I never went back to high school. So I missed all of senior year. And, God, what year was it? So I would have graduated in 2009 and we probably came back like maybe it was 2010 or something like that.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering because the first time I ever went to the Columbia Tower Club, my buddy Pear, he was a member there. And so he was like, yo,
him.
Pete.
Good for Pear.
Right, he was balling.
Yeah.
And he was like, Pete, we're going to the Columbia Tower. I was like, cool, let's go. And I remember taking my girlfriend and he had his girlfriend. And I remember sitting down at this table and they hadn't busted yet. And there was this, there was this credit card, like, you know how you pay your bill? And in it was like $100 bill. And I was like, I literally took it under the table, took the 100, threw the little, the bill folder, threw it under the seat, and took the 100. Mm-hmm. So Pear takes me aside and he's like, hey, motherfucker.
Oh, he saw you?
Yeah, he was like, I saw that shit and you can't be doing that shit around here.
And I was like, I'm never bringing you to a fine establishment again, sir.
I got a few after that, but it was definitely like, I was definitely behaving in a very deviant way in these high class places. And that was one of the higher like class clubs that I'd ever seen. And I mean,
it's nice up there.
The Columbia Tower Club is the tallest club tallest building in Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you were there. You were kicking it.
I was for sure also doing shady shit in a high class establishment when I was working there. You know, I was, I mean, I'm getting like ahead of myself. AK and I move here. I'm working there. He's getting money from his dad to pay our rent. Like he's not, I don't know. That man was not working.
You really don't know what AK was doing, but
dude, who knows what AK? I've got stories about AK.
He was just around.
Oh yeah. Later on, we both got a job at, was it Bed Bath & Beyond? Is that the store?
Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yeah. And then like one day I went to bring him lunch or something. I go there middle of the day and I find out that motherfucker got fired a month earlier, but he had been going to work every day.
Right.
Like he was leaving the house to be like, I'm going to work. And like he had not been I don't know where he had been all day for that whole month, but I thought he was at work the whole time. So
did you guys break up?
Oh yeah.
Like you haven't been at Bed Bath & Beyond. We're done.
Eventually we did break up. And that was like part of the sobriety journey too. I mean, there's so much in this part of the story, man. I could talk about it for like days. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we're living in Northgate. He's getting, we find a guy that we're buying heroin from here. This guy, I got shot up for the first time. He comes over and he shoots me up because I didn't know what I was doing. Dealer. Right. Yeah. The dealer does with heroin. AK is getting very addicted to that.
Is that something that you were enjoying? Heroin, not so much?
Heroin was good, actually. Yeah. I didn't hate that. I mean, I wasn't doing it the way he was and I wasn't immediately like, this is it. You know, I didn't have that experience, but like, my boyfriend's doing it, we're doing it, you know. Yeah, and he was like not a terrible guy, but then like the drugs in him was like really not a good. He's like super one of us that I don't know if he'll ever get it. Like I actually really hope he does someday, but he's still out there. Yeah. And so that was like super abusive. I was like so in love with that man. Like this was the first where I was like, I will die without him, you know, like super codependent. We were just talking about this, like when you're young and you're like in love with somebody, like I felt like there was no worse pain than being without him, despite how bad it was with him, you know? And so, I mean, I'm in like the depths of despair over him. He's lying to me again. He's lying about the drug use. Like I'm finding drugs in his pocket and he's like, it's my friends. I'm just holding it for him. You know, like all the crazy shit we say. Yeah. And we're with this guy. It was the same guy who shot me up with heroin for the first time, I think. I can't remember his name. Aaron, maybe? I can't remember. But We're on a hill in Fremont. I'll never forget. You know, the hills coming up from Fremont. Yep. We're in a car. This dude was a meth addict. Like, this dude was always smoking meth around us. And you were talking about how dirty coke and crack were, and you were like, oh, I'll do a lot, but there's certain things I won't do, right? Mm-hmm. I felt that way about like meth for sure. I'm like, that is a dirty, grimy drug, and like, I'm just not the type of girl who would partake in something like that. But he's doing it next to me, and he's like, you want some? And he had like offered before, and I'd said no. And this day was like particularly bad with AK, and I was like brokenhearted over what was happening in this relationship. And I was like, you know what?
Sure.
Yeah. So I did. And that drug, man, that was like
awakening.
I remember thinking like, I can get through anything as long as I have this.
Yeah.
I can get through anything. I was like, all the shit with AK, like, that's fine. I'm going to be able to tolerate whatever life throws my way. It doesn't matter how bad it gets, as long as I can like consistently stay feeling like this always.
When I was in treatment, they showed me like the trajectory of like what drugs, like how high you can get. And they'd be like, yeah, so you're here on like opiates, and here's cocaine, and then here's weed, and then they're like, here's meth.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's up there. It's
I was like, duh.
The dopamine receptors are like, what's happening?
I was like, now wonder cats are liking it if you get that high.
Yeah.
And like, again, I'm so grateful that I never tried this shit. Dude. Like I've talked about Adderall on this podcast many a times, and it's like, if that was like an introduction to meth, I'm straight. Like I would be, and so anyway, so you start smoking, you get high. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
and that was it. I was like,
now
okay.
Are you tweaking though? See, this is what I've seen cats like.
You know what's so funny about me though?
Yeah.
I've got like ADHD extreme. I've been diagnosed multiple times. Like, I don't think I am the way on meth that like a lot of people are. Like I'm good. Like it takes me to a place. Yeah. And it doesn't, after I've been up for like long enough and I haven't eaten for long enough, then I'm fucking tweaking. Yeah. Like it's bad, but like for the first, I remember I used to hate after I'd sleep, it would take me 3 days to get to the point I wanted to be at.
Oh,
because I was like, this is too clean. Like this high is too clean. I wanted to be like intense. Out of my fucking mind. And it would take me like a solid 3 days of not sleeping back on the drugs to get where I wanted to be.
Damn.
Hey, man, we don't really talk, like, we don't really have good meth stories. But like, man, take us through like when people, they fast forward through their 3 days. Like they're like, I've been up 3 days. I mean, what do you occupy your time with for 3 days when you're high on meth?
The thing about meth is you're doing the most mundane shit for 3 days and you're like so into it. You're like, hell yeah, I'm gonna, like, I used to think I would find like we were like using LimeWire. Do you guys remember LimeWire? To download a music and shit. And you were like stealing it off the internet. It was like a crowdsourcing. Okay. You guys weren't on. You for sure weren't. But
LimeWire. I mean, that's how you would get your music.
Yeah, you get all the mixtapes when they dropped. I mean, like, and it was. I feel like you were stealing. I feel like it was like copyright infringement or something. Like you were definitely not.
It was not on the
up. Pirating it.
People, you could download porn on there. I mean, you could download anything on there. Like, and we were. I remember just thinking I was going to find like the new thing where I was going to download music, but it wasn't going to be anything that anyone else had ever used before. And I was like deep in that search on the internet for like days, and it was like going nowhere. And like, I was like, what am I talking about? I finally snapped out of it and I was like, this is crazy, and you've been bent over the computer for so long, like your back feels like it's broken because you haven't moved in 8 hours. Like that's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. I mean, I would go to Target at like, the people who talk about the birds in the morning and how upsetting it was to like wake up and the birds are chirping.
It's pretty
like
tough.
Not me. Yeah. I was like, thank God everyone's going to wake up. I'm like, the birds are chirping. Like everyone's coming back to life because I'm up all night alone.
You're going to start socializing.
Yeah, I'm like,
this is great.
Yeah, I'm like such an extrovert. I'd be like, God, what a lonely night that was. Weird. I'm like picking all my skin off all night because there's no one to hang out with. I would like sit in the parking lot at Target and Northgate waiting for the doors to open, 8 a.m. And then I'm like in there and I'm just filling the cart with stuff, filling it with stuff. I'm like looking, I'm so into it. You just get into these zones where you like cannot break out of the zone when you're high on meth. Yeah. And I'm filling the cart, and then like I'll snap out of it like 2 hours later, and I'm like, I don't have any money. I can't buy any of this shit. And I'll just like leave the cart and leave the store, and that's it. Like, I don't know, dude, that's what you're just tweaking. You know what I mean? You've probably seen people doing shit like that at the store. They're just tweaking, and they're so into whatever they're doing, but they're just doing like a whole lot of nothing. Yeah.
Could people, if somebody started talking to you, could you break out of that if you had like a outside interaction or like
a great question?
Sorta. I mean, here's a good story. I was at the casino. This is way later. This is 3 relapses later, but this is a great mess story. So I'm at the casino. I've been up for days. We're up at Tulalip, right? Because tweakers love casinos. I never did, but I was hanging out with a bunch of tweakers, and they're like, let's go to the casino, because that's what you do when you're up all night. We're there. This is years later. I'm like shooting meth at this point. I had moved on from smoking it because I felt like it was gonna, I'm so vain. I was like, it's gonna ruin my teeth if I smoke it. Like, I can't be getting meth mouth. I just need to bypass the whole mouth and just go straight to the vein.
Straight to the vein.
Yeah. So I'm like shooting meth at this point. I go in the bathroom to do that. And I come out of the bathroom, and I mean, like the bell ringer. You guys ever talk to people where your fucking ears are just ringing?
Yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah,
like,
that's the high that
you get really, you shoot it, it hits, you cough, you shoot it, you're like, because it hits the back of your throat. It's a whole process.
Yep.
And then your ears like my voice sounded too loud. Everything was like so loud.
It's intense.
I mean, it's crazy. But so that happens to me. I walk out. I'm like, the bells are ringing. I'm walking through this casino. I'm trying to find the guys I'm with. And then all of a sudden, like, casino security just like comes down on me, and they're like, ma'am, and they grab my arm, they start walking me through the casino, and they're asking me questions. And to your point, like, I'm not even answering them. Like, I'm just, and finally they're like, ma'am, you know, and I snap out of it, and I'm like, what? And they're asking me something about like, where were you at this time? And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on, you know?
Yeah,
dude, I don't know. And they walk me by this woman, and this woman shakes her head, and they're like, and I'm going through, I'm like, what am I getting caught for? Because I'm thinking I'm getting caught for doing drugs in the bathroom or something. Yeah. And then this woman looks at me, shakes her head, and they're just like, oh, sorry, our mistake. You know, this woman had her purse snatched, and you matched the description. We thought it was you, so we brought you over here, and like, it's not you. You know, she identified that you weren't the person, and they let me go. But like, I remember just being like, God, I was so far gone that they're talking to me, they're asking me questions. I'm just like, not even there, you know? Yeah. There, but not there. So yeah, I think you get to a point where you're not even like responding to people when you're in that space.
Yeah, I think I hear it in his question, like, is there a way to fight that? Like, as a sober person trying to like crack open a meth addict, and you're like, hey.
No, well, you got to catch them like on the come down. You got to catch them like right after they've slept and eaten.
Yeah.
But when right after use, it's like they're locked.
Oh no, don't even bother. You know, there's certain times where it's not probably going to get through to them at all.
Yeah. I've had interactions in work where kids.
Oh dude, if you're trying to do interventions on people who are totally spun out on meth.
And it's like, okay, what's going on here? You know? But I was just curious about that.
I don't really think there's any like reasoning with them or getting through to them in that state. You're so out of your mind. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that interesting.
Yeah. All right. So now we got AK. The chapter might be coming to a close. It sounds like
it got really bad with AK. I mean, we get into this fight. I lost the job at the Columbia Tower Club. First of all, I'm doing drugs there the whole time. I'm losing so much weight too. All the coworkers are like, what's going on with you? I was like, I have a stomach ulcer. You know, it's always like a health thing. I'm going through a health thing. I'm very stressed out about my health. Mm-hmm. I'm like probably 30 or 40 pounds skinnier than I am now. Mm-hmm. So I'm like emaciated. I'm gray. I have photos from that time, like, because you're just malnourished. So your skin tone is gray. And I get terminated. They call me into the office and they terminate me because, one of the jobs at the Columbia Tower Club is sitting down on the first level, because it's a private club, right? Someone has to card you up. So you can sit down at this little podium and card members up. And I have like people coming to meet me for drugs down while I'm at this podium. I'm like running outside to get stuff while I'm at this podium. And so they're like, hey, is this you in this footage? You know, and it's just footage of me just fucking around on the first floor. And I'm like, yeah. And so I get terminated over that, which was not surprising at all.
Yeah.
And I don't have a job anymore. AK is hanging out with all these like, there was like this big like Samoan blood community, like gang shit going on in Northgate at that time. And he's hanging out with all of these guys and he's like bringing them back to our apartment. And he comes in one day and he's really high. And AK, like, he would tell me he's going to 7-Eleven and he'd come back. He's just like reeking of crack. Like, you can tell that man just smoked crack. Like, you can smell it, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you just did, you know, and it's so funny because at this point I'd given up. I'm on drugs too, like. Yeah. But I'm like, stop fucking lying to me, you know? And he was like, he's like the type of addict where like they're dead in the eyes, you know, and you're talking to this person who's just like not there and also just like pure evil. Like he was the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of guy. Right. And so we have like a physical altercation. He's yelling at me, this dude, this one of the Samoan Bloods is like sitting in our living room, just like hanging out while he took my purse, he dumps it out, he pisses all over everything in there, super abusive and weird. And I end up like grabbing a laundry basket of my stuff and just like leaving, like a dirty clothes hamper. And I'm like standing out in the parking lot and I get in this car with these guys. Like, I don't even know, I can't remember who these guys were, like where the hell they came from or how I ended up getting a ride from them. But I get a ride to this guy, Sam's boat that doesn't run. It's parked over off of Westlake, like right past the Aurora Bridge.
Oh, yeah, man, Sam's boat. No, I'm just kidding. Keep going.
I was like, you know Sam, dude. Everyone knows Sam, so I would not be surprised. Sam, I am. Yeah. I remember thinking Sam was so scary and so twacked out when I first met him before I was on drugs. I was like, I do not want to ever be alone with that guy. And then, you know, fast forward and I'm on drugs and Sam seems like the like most normal dude in the world. Like we're hanging out. Sam smoked it. Sam used to tell me how hardcore I was because I'm like shooting drugs. That was another thing that was really interesting. Everyone I was doing meth with, it was not, it was like not common to be shooting meth. People were like frowning upon it that I was doing it. And I kind of just didn't care. I would just do it in front of anybody, but it really kind of like put people off a little bit.
I bet it would.
Yeah. Everyone was smoking it and I just like slamming it in the corner. I was like aggressively, like I did not care. You know, I was just doing that.
Aggressively shooting that.
Yeah. I was just doing
my ears are ringing right now.
I'm like, stop talking to me. I'm like, well, oh yeah. People would look at me all the time after I did it too and be like, are you okay? Because I was just like out of it. But so I go to Sam's boat because I didn't know where else to go. I have these guys drop me off at this boat. And I'm just like staying on this boat. And also I don't trust Sam. There was a lot of guys I hung out with that I was like, yeah, I'm not falling asleep near that guy. I'm not getting close to that guy. Like
staying up so you don't have to.
Straight up. I will sit in the corner all night while they sleep because I'm not sleeping or putting myself in like a vulnerable position around this person because they were like scary people, you know? Yep. Sam looked at me one time. We were like in this motel on Aurora. And Sam looked at me and he was like, what are you even doing here? He's like, shouldn't you be like chewing bubble gum with your cheerleader friends somewhere? This is crazy. Cause I was just like, you know, like odd man out in a lot of these situations. I
think that goes to just prove the point that like, you know, this dis-ease does not have, you know, it doesn't take the, you know, the lowest of the low out. It can take anybody out. Oh, yeah. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter like where you're from or what you look like or any of that. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty scary. It's really scary. Yeah. And so now you got Sam. I'm on Sam's boat. Yeah, Sam doesn't seem to be the best. Sam's not the best, but also weirdly, I also feel like Sam totally protected me like during that period too. Sam never did anything to me. Sam warned me. I mean, I remember when we first started doing drugs, I think I was buying drugs for Sam or like Sam is facilitating my connects. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know anybody at first. And Sam was like, he said to me in AK once, he was like, you better be careful with this shit. He's like, don't let this shit get between you guys. Like this will destroy your relationship. And it did. Like Sam had like some wisdom that he would drop occasionally, you know?
Sam was interesting. I actually like have so much love for that dude, but I still was like not about to be sexually assaulted by Sam, so I'm gonna like stay over here. And I stayed on Sam's boat for a while, and then Sam had a girlfriend who was like not super keen on me like staying at Sam's boat. You know, she was like not digging that.
Who is this?
Yeah, and I was like, "Don't trust me. Like, he is yours, and you can keep him, girl." But I ended up having to leave Sam's boat because it was causing like some rifts between them. And I show up at my parents' house.
Bam! I was gonna hit it on the nose.
Because I didn't have anywhere else to go.
Where are your parents at? Okay.
Oh, dude, I was avoiding them. My parents also cut me off. So this is like a big part of my story. I did not have enabling parents at all. They were like, we see how you're living. You're a dangerous person. Wow. They were like, we're raising your sister. Because my sister's still in high school at this point. She's 3 years younger, and I'm only like 18, 19.
We gotta take care of her, man.
Yep. They were like, we don't want you or the people you associate with or any of that shit around her. So like, you're done. You're not getting money from us. You're not welcome here.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. My parents were hardcore. And at the time I thought they were like the meanest people. Cause I had this boyfriend whose dad was like, I'll pay your bills, whatever you need to, you know, for you to be okay. Like very much like more of an enabler. I show up there because I have nowhere else to go. And my neighbor, Pammy, who has known me since I was 6 months old or whatever, Pammy had a niece or something who had a drug problem. Pammy took one look at me. She's like, how you doing? Like, she's talking to me. I go into my parents' house, and my mom gets home sometime after that, and Pammy's like, your daughter's like super strung out. Like, she's super strung out. She's super on drugs. My parents don't know anything about any of this, right? Like,
they don't know what meth is.
No,
drugs
they are not addicts, or they weren't raised around that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So my mom comes in, she's like, show me your arms. I'm like, no, you know, it was like that moment of truth. And she like rips my shirt up, and like, there's track marks, and like, it was a whole thing. And they're trying to ask me what I'm doing, and I'm not being very forthcoming about it. And I think they go through my stuff, and they find a bunch of needles in there, you know, and these are like, this is so vile. So I'm sorry to share it, but these are like half shot needles. So there's like blood drawn back in them. So my parents are calling hospitals, and they're like, she needs detox. She's on heroin, because it looks like heroin. It's like, you know, brown, coagulated old bloody meth. And I'm like, you guys, I don't need detox. Like, I'm not doing opiates. And of course they're like,
you're lying.
We don't believe anything you're saying right now. So they're trying to get me into detox. I'm finally like, they bring me somewhere where I'm drug tested, and they're like, nope, she's actually not strung out on opiates. Like, she doesn't need to go to detox. She can go straight to treatment. And that was, you know, shortly thereafter, I'm like in treatment for the third time at Residence 12.
Okay.
Shout out to that place. It was the best over in Kirkland. Women only. It was like max.
It's shut down now, though, isn't it?
Dude, I'm so sad to hear that, because that place was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
What made it good? I'm just curious. Dude, like, what makes it?
It was small, like 24 women max. It was women only. Like, none of us came in there on a winning streak with men, right? Like, we did not need to be distracted by men around us. I was so mad to be in a women's only too.
Right. Upset.
Which in hindsight, like, why was that such a big deal for me? Because I was super distracted by these dudes, right? And they just were like, there was like this accountability built into that program. Like, we did this thing. It was like a circle. And in hindsight, it was like inventory, but I didn't know anything about that at the time, right? But like, we did this circle called like the well woman circle, and everyone else in the program, like when it was your turn, everyone would go around and they'd be like, basically like, here's what I'm worried about for you when you get out. And people were like, I'm worried you're going back to AK. Like, I'm worried they were like calling you out for like all of the behaviors
like
that they're
seeing. Concern circle.
Dude. And it was so intense. It was like my first experience with that type of like
honesty
that was like so targeted at like my deepest, the shit I was holding back, because like those were my sort of like reservations, and those sort of were my plans after I got out, right? I was like, damn, these women see me. Like, they see me. I felt like super exposed to that experience. But
what year were you there?
God, 2011, 2012, somewhere in there. It wouldn't have been 2012, because that would have been too close to when I'm sober this time, and shit happened after that. But maybe 2011. Yeah. And I went in there just so messed up. I mean, I had like no skin left on my face, because I was like carrying it off, because man, I would pick so bad on meth.
Yeah.
So you want another meth story?
Yeah.
You need more of that?
Let's hear it.
I just need more. Yeah.
We
were wrong with this. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, I haven't talked about this stuff in so long. It feels like a different life, like someone else's life.
But we're going to get there because you're going to start another life.
I'm going to get sober soon. Yeah.
Right.
I used to think I had these like tiny neon colored fibers. Like I had put a neon colored sweater on and the little hairs had gone in my eyes and I would feel them, dude. And I would feel them and I would see them and I would try to get them out. But there was, and like, I'd be like, dude, you're tweaking. Like there's nothing there. But like, it felt so real and it looked so real that I'd be like, no, there's something. I couldn't even like.
And you're fighting yourself. Is that
yeah.
Right? Like, it's just
I would often have moments where I'm like, bro, are you tweaking or is this real life? It happened a lot. I would hear things too. Like I would have like major auditory hallucinations. Like I would, when I was at my parents' house before I went to treatment, I would hear my mom calling me, be like 2 a.m. because I'm still doing drugs there, by the way. Up until I went to treatment, still doing them. I'd hear my mom calling me at like 2 a.m. and I'd be like, bro, there's no way she's calling you right now. It's 2 a.m. Just ignore it. You're probably tweaking. But I'd hear it again and it'd be so real that I'd be like, yeah, like responding. And then I'm like, no, she's really like, there's no one there. You start to have like meth psychosis. Like you really are kind of in psychosis.
Yeah.
So yeah, the little hairs in my eyes, thinking I'm having conversations with people that I'm not. I remember thinking my sister was there talking to me. I'm trying to shoot drugs. I like can't hit a vein. So you get so high, you don't remember what your veins look like. And you're like, I don't even know where to put this needle anymore. You're just so out of your mind. And, I think my sister's talking to me and then I look up and there's no one there. Like my sister's not talking to me, and like, you're just totally in psychosis. Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting to listen to.
It's a trip.
And you know what's crazy about this is like, we've really never, like we have guests on this podcast that are very vulnerable, but like, I think this is where like, I was hoping tonight would be a very like, honest conversation about what it's like out there. And like that, I could just imagine myself being high on meth, having a green sweater go over my body and then just being like, dog, I think these things are like on me.
In my eye.
Like I could just, and I hope everybody out there can get into those shoes and be like, dog, I think that, and then you're like, and then you're fighting yourself. You're fighting yourself because you're like, no, this is not real.
You're still a person in there who has like, there was a lot of moments where I'd be like, real or pretend, Allison, like, and I'm like, it's probably not real because if I'm reasoning through this, like, why would mom be calling me at 2 a.m., but it's so like the hallucinations are so powerful that then I almost wonder if it's like, I don't have like schizophrenia or anything, but I wonder if it's like that where like you're questioning your reality a little bit because it felt a lot like that. Yeah. And I would have like real lucid moments too where I'd be like, you're losing your mind. Like, that was crazy what you just went through. You're not well,
And then you do it again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything to just, it's so funny. I could never do it now. Like, dude, I would die. I can't even drink an energy drink or I feel like I'm dying now. But yeah, it was like the only way I wanted to live then,
Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah. So, man, and here we go.
Sober.
Yeah, so we get to this day of sobriety. There's a treatment card, like the women's treatment center. You get on a path of sobriety, but I don't hear that being the sober day. You go out there and try some more.
I did.
And then take it. Okay, so take us to the day.
The real day I got sober. We're gonna skip everything in between the relapses. We've had enough of that. Yeah.
No, like we can go there. We can go there. I'm just saying like
What brought you to it? What brought you to that sobriety?
I'm seeing you qualify.
I get out. Yeah, I get out of residence 12. I go to Oxford.
Okay.
And Oxford
sober living
was legit. Yeah, Oxford is sober living here. Yep. There's no like trained staff, right? It's all democratically ran. So it's just all of us are addicts and we all have kind of roles and we run the place together, which is pretty cool. And that like changed my life. All my best friends today were women I was 13 years, 14 years ago, I was in Oxford with those girls. And we were just like 19, 20, like trying to figure it out. Yeah. You know, and so I was at an Oxford house up in Shoreline.
Nice.
And I get a sponsor. Actually, a woman came in and spoke while I was in Residence 12. And I'm like, I have to ask this woman to sponsor me because I can't get out of here without a sponsor. I was scared. Like things had gotten bad that time, you know, as you can hear from this story. And I asked this woman named Jane, and she starts taking me through the steps, right? I get out, I get into Oxford, and I actually start working the steps. I get a home group, I get a service position. I'll never forget what a trip it was. Yeah. I was coffee cleanup at Bottom Feeders. I don't know if you guys have heard of that meeting. It was, I don't know if it's still around even, but
I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was coffee cleanup. I was shocked that anyone would trust me to do coffee cleanup. Like, I could not believe people were like, oh, yeah, we're just going to assume Allison will do her job at the end of this meeting and, like, cleanup's going to happen and Allison's going to be the one to do it. Like, it really speaks to that whole, you know, we build self-esteem through esteemable acts, you know?
Speak on it.
Yeah. So I remember being like, oh, like these people trust me and I have to show up. Like I have to be accountable. So I did coffee cleanup like my life depended on it. Right. And like it felt so good to be trusted and relied upon for people. You know, I was like a part of making this meeting happen. And it was like this small thing that I showed up to do. And it was an esteemable act. And I started to like build some self-esteem around that. Like I'll never forget what a big deal coffee cleanup was. Isn't that funny?
It's crazy because, like, you think, I don't know about you, but I was always just like, yeah, that coffee stuff, like, that's a low-bottom job. Like, you
want something more highfalutin?
Yeah, I wanted a secretary job. I remember being, like, in treatment, wanting the secretary job because that would fit my ego properly. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm there. I'm a very important person, and this, like, coffee thing is not really where I belong. And I remember Seth being like, no, that's what you're going to be doing.
He's like... You were bottom bitch, babe. You're cleaning up coffee.
I was a butt collector. You guys beat me.
Yeah. I was like, I must have been on the other end of like, you know, the humility spectrum. You either think you're way better, you're way worse than everybody else.
Yeah.
I was definitely on the like, I'm a piece of shit end of that spectrum. And so, coffee cleanup, I was like, wow. Like, I could have been a butt ranger or a greeter. It could have been much
worse. You guys
worse.
still were up above me.
You were a butt ranger?
I was a butt ranger.
I was not doing that
is bottom of the barrel.
It was the bottom.
Hey, man, the butt job, just for people that don't understand, it's the person that cleans up all of the cigarette butts outside of the meetings in case people have not thrown away their cigarette butts. And so that to me was like, you're talking low.
Butt ranger.
But I'm just saying, like being able to do that shit, like like that's what we're talking about.
That's
right?
humility. Right. Yeah, you're like, you know what? Every job needs to happen to make this meeting happen. And so I'm gonna be the butt ranger.
Yep.
Greeter was also a brutal job. Like I was just not into being the greeter. I don't know.
That might actually be worse than butt collecting.
Isn't it? It's like the scariest, most brutal job when you're just like new and you feel like everything is so uncomfortable that you're gonna die, and someone's like, yo, go talk to people on the way in. I was like, no.
Yeah.
I remember being new and going to this Normandy Park meeting. I forget the name of the hall. It's got a hall over there by QFC, and I remember going. It was Saturday mornings, and I would show up, and there'd be this dude, the same dude every time, outside. Like, hey, how's it going? And I'd be like, what's up? And he'd say hello to me and shake my hand, and then he was there again the next Saturday. And then he was there again the next Saturday. And I was like, what the fuck is up with this guy? Why the fuck is he standing out with this guy? Because like I would like drive up and I'd be like, there he is again. This fucking guy. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Why is he's weird? Like this is weird that he's always outside saying hello to people. Like, why are you not in the meeting? Like this is just, and I found out that there was a service position called the greeter.
Yeah.
And that's the person that stands outside and says hello. And I was like, oh, now it makes sense. Because I was very resentful, like, man, what is this dude doing out here? Like, it was very weird to me.
See, that's why I didn't want to be a greeter. Like, what if I was weirding people out because they weren't hip to the fact that this was I had to. It was my job. Like, they just thought I was a weirdo who wanted to say hi to them? No.
Man, that's what I'm saying. I knew her and I was like, dog, I'm just give my slip sign, move out of the way, like, get out of here.
Yeah. Not the slip signers. Those are the ones who are like, they really don't want to talk to a greeter. You're just there to be in the check that box. Yeah.
You know what's crazy was like I was one of those guys that like I would show back up at my outpatient treatment, and everybody would have stories for why they didn't have their slip. They'd be like, I forgot it. I left it at a meeting. And like there was something for me because my ass was on fire. I thought I was gonna. Like I needed to stay sober. And like what they were telling me was go to meetings. And I was like, okay. So then I would fill this shit up and be like, yeah. Like I go to like the whole slip would be full. And these cats would look at me in the treatment center and be like, what are you doing, man? Why you gotta go to all these meetings? Like what is I was like, I don't know, but it was exciting to me. Yeah. It was exciting to me to be like, and you know, don't get me wrong, man. I see the slip signers and I get it. And I can relate to the slip signers. Those are my guys. Those are my people. And all right, so
there's a million ways to get it, and sometimes like the court sending you in there can be a really good one.
Yeah, court, outpatient, whatever it takes. You know, whatever it takes to get you where you need to go. Yeah. I can relate also to like the shame of like when they'd pass around the basket and I had to put my slip in there. Yeah, and then they'd be like, you know, the old timers might be like. They'd look at it and they might pass the basket around again after it's been signed and they'd be like, here, this is yours. And I'm like, hey man, why don't you mind your business? Mm-hmm. I'll take it out when you don't have.
I'd bring my slip to you.
Yeah, like, I don't have any slips. I don't have a slip. And so, all right. So we kind of got off track there.
I'm getting sober.
Yeah, you're getting sober.
Yeah. I'm doing the work.
You got your sponsor.
Oxford. Yep.
Yeah, you got
Living
Oxford.
in Oxford. Oxford was so legit. Shout out to Oxford.
Yeah.
And I'm working the steps to the best of my ability at the time, right? Like I got to inventory and I wrote it. There was like 12 people on it. You know, once again, I think I wasn't like quite getting it.
But you were trying.
I was trying. Yeah. I just wasn't like quite having the experience, like what do they say? I wasn't having the experience of depth and weight that I needed to have for this to really like sink in.
Yeah, you were participating.
I was trying for sure.
You were trying. Yeah.
I read inventory and I held some things back, right? I held back like the ugliest, the darkest, deepest, most shameful secrets because I was like, I'm just can't tell this woman this stuff. Like
I'm not telling anybody.
I'm taking these to the grave, literally. Like no one ever needs to hear about this, you know? And yeah, and I mean, having listened to a lot of inventories now, you know, over the years, like I feel like most of that stuff is like, most of it's like deep sexual shame stuff for most people. And that's a lot like what mine looked like, you know, and it turns out also it's very like run of the mill for people like us. Like I've heard some stuff where I'm like, yeah, girl, I know that felt really hard for you, but it is not shocking to me at all. Like we've all been there, done that, you know? But I didn't know that at the time, and it felt like the darkest, filthiest, dirtiest thing that anyone could ever say. Mm-hmm. So I kind of held that stuff back. And
I think one of the most important things to like acknowledge right there is like the people that you do share those deepest, darkest secrets with, they're usually chosen to hear those things out of like, oftentimes like their reputation or their integrity has led you to them. And so they're called the closed mouth friends. They're the people that when you do share this scariest thing, like the scariest stuff, they look at you and just say, hey girl, or like, hey, totally, man, this, and it's just like, wait a second, you can relate. And you're not going to tell me that I'm the dirtiest person in the world, or
you're not going to kick me out of this house and tell me never to come back. You know, you're not safe. I don't want you here. Like, And I think something I do and something that my sponsor this round of sobriety where I've stayed sober did for me was she went first. Like she told me what her deepest, darkest take it to the graves were. And after she said what she said to me, I was like, oh, to use your favorite phrase, like, oh, like I'm about to be honest now, you know, it was like, I'm going to actually
Yeah.
I'm going to divulge like all the things because I remember my heart beating out of my chest before I told her these things too, because I was so afraid to say it out loud. Right. Mm-hmm. And, but I was more afraid, and this has happened to me a lot of times in my sobriety. Like there's a scale, right? And there's like the fear around like shame or whatever. There's the fear around doing the thing I'm afraid of. And then there's the fear of like not being able to stay sober and like being eaten alive by holding on to this thing. Right. And eventually like it tips. Like I'm protecting this thing over here forever until like one day the fear of like not being free and not staying well, like kind of overrides. And I'm like, I have to do whatever I have to do. You know, you guys have probably like reached that point with your own things in life. It's happened to me lots with lots of different scenarios. And this was one of them where I was like, do I want to stay sober and get well? Or do I want to like hold on to this because I'm afraid of being shamed or being rejected or whatever? Yeah. And I just chose to like do what I needed to do to get well in that moment. And that looked like just laying it out for her.
Going to any length.
Yep. And I did. And she was like, great. Okay, what's next on your list? You know, like it was not a big deal.
Yeah.
But I do the same thing with the women I sponsor now. Like, I'm like, here's what I've done. Like, here's the dirtiest, darkest thing I've ever done. Know you're in good company. This is a safe space. I hope that you'll hold what I tell you privately, and I will do the same thing for you. Like, it doesn't leave this space, you know? And like, I've heard crazy shit, you know, after telling them what I did, because they're like, okay, she's not going to judge me. Like, she's been there.
Yep. Yeah. See, I remember when I did my honest inventory, like my full, as full as it could be. My sponsor takes me and I got I'm ready to go with it. And he says, all right, man, hold on. Like, I'm going to give you a notepad. I'm going to give you a notepad. I'm like, okay. And he's like, so I'm going to leave you for however long you need, but I want you to write down what's not in here. And I mean, it almost brings me to tears today because it was like, what do you mean? And he's like, oh, you know, the stuff that you didn't write down, that you weren't going to come here and tell me today. What is that? Take your time. I'm going to go clean up the dishes in the kitchen and whatever, you know. And I'll never forget just writing that shit down. The deepest, darkest, sickest, nastiest things that have ever happened to me or I've done, just writing that down because it wasn't in there. Mm-hmm. I was only going to give you so much because I was like planning to be free, but like not that free.
Yeah.
And so
my sponsor did the same thing.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm going to come back in 10 minutes, write this stuff down. And isn't it crazy how exactly what that shit is comes immediately to mind? Like, you know exactly what you held back, right? I was like, not that, anything but that. I don't want to tell her about that.
For real.
Yeah. I do the same thing with my girls. And I feel like it's a real like come to Jesus moment between us where I'm like, no, like whatever. If they're like, oh, I don't have anything. I'm like, okay, we'll just take the 10 and whatever comes up, write that down, you know?
Yep.
It was that moment where it was like, am I going to protect myself or am I going to be free? Like really free. And I chose this time in sobriety to, you know, bear all in that process.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the things that I can literally say saved my life. Like that moment of like truth. Of being like, all right, look, this holding this stuff back has gotten me this far and it's like, I'm still dying. I'm sober, but I'm like, I got these secrets. And so, yeah, I like how we've talked about that. All right, so you start, you know, being honest and you get to this place where now, you get it? I mean, there's a point where Oxford ends, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and what we just talked about, that whole inventory process was actually this round of sobriety. So I'm working with that woman, Jane. I'm holding things back. I'm not having the experience we just talked about, right? And then I start dating a guy way older than me, has money. Like, I'm super intrigued by this whole situation, right? Because I've never done anything like that. And I start, you know, I was really like honestly giving my all at the time to the program, but then I start kind of getting a little distracted with like this relationship, right? And this guy's doing some stuff. He's sober, right? He's like 7 years sober when I meet him, but apparently he had like really worked it hard in the first 2, and then he like got it and he left and he was like, okay, I don't need AA anymore. I'm good. So he wasn't really like doing the deal. Yeah. And he is doing some stuff that like I don't really want to tell my sponsor about because I don't want her to say like maybe you shouldn't be hanging out with this guy. Like maybe this guy isn't the guy, you know. He's like at the time this was before like weed was legal and stuff. So and just he's selling weed like up and down the West Coast, and he's got this whole thing going on, and he's like taking steroids and he's like doing some other things that felt a little misaligned with like the type of lifestyle I was trying to live. But like I was pretty committed to that relationship. So I was like, yeah, I'm just not going to tell my sponsor about that. Yeah. And for me, holding things back, whether it's like lying through omission or just straight up lying, you know, I did a lot of lying through omission during that time. And like our secrets keep us sick, you know, and like that stuff starts to fester. And once I lie a little, I'm like, I might as well lie some more. And so I'm lying, I'm telling my sponsor less and less. And like, eventually I get loaded again at this guy. I try to get loaded at him because I'm trying to like create this change in the relationship or whatever. Because it's not working. So this was like a codependent effort to like force him to treat me differently or give me what I want and needed. And that didn't work at all. Right. And that kind of like soured the relationship too. Like it was kind of never the same after I did that. And then I kind of pretend I'm in AA for another year or so. But I'm not really working a program. I'm not being honest. I'm not doing the deal. I'm just sort of like showing up to meetings occasionally and like hoping I stay sober. Yeah. And eventually I got to a point where I was just like, yeah, I don't want to live like this anymore. Like being loaded is brutal, but being dry, especially when you've had like a taste of what freedom can look like in recovery, like that is like a special type of hell. You know what I mean? So I was like, yeah. And I kind of did the math. I was like, so I owned a business with a friend at the time too. We were doing interior design. That's how I got into what I still do today, right? This was back in like 2011, maybe the end of it. I had been in treatment earlier that year. We started a business. We were doing that. It was actually for like 20-year-old girls, you know, we were actually kind of killing it. It was more money than I'd ever made for sure. In hindsight, it wasn't that much, but then it felt like a lot. Yeah. And I was like, okay, so if I get loaded, I'm going to lose my business. You know, I'm going to lose my apartment. I had a little dog and a BMW at the time. And I was like, as long as I can like keep up with the payments on the Beamer and like hang on to the dog, you know, feed the dog, like I'm good. Like I don't care about the rest of any of it. And that's what like the insanity of addiction looks like. Like to me, that actually felt like the better option at the time, you know, than living the way I was living and feeling the way I was feeling. Cause I was very like unrecovered on the inside. So I went and got loaded again. And, that relapse was so brutal. It was such a good example of how progressive this illness is. Like I'd been sober, you know, I'd been sober almost 2 years, gotten loaded briefly at the boyfriend, been sober again a year. And still like all that time meant nothing in terms of like how quickly the addiction progressed, right? How quickly like I was in psychosis again, how quickly I was, doing things I said I'd never do to like be loaded, you know? And just like, I remember just being amazed by like how bad it was and how quickly it happened. I would do things like bend down to get something from under the sink in the bathroom and like come to like smashing my face into the ground because I'd like passed out briefly or, you know, I don't know. You also take like these micro nap things when you've been up too long, your body starts doing like
quick little nap.
Moments of like shutting down on you. So that would happen to me. And and I was super crazy. And that last time, it was kind of like a work intervention. So my business partner at the time, that boyfriend actually who worked with us, they all sort of like intervened. It really like culminated in them telling my parents. And once my parents get involved, like it's always game over. They put the kibosh on that real quick, you know? So mom and dad get involved. I'm super mad. Like I do not want to get well this time. It was the first time going to treatment where I was like, fuck you, fuck this. I just want to get loaded until I die. Leave me alone and let me live my life the way I want to live it. Right. I was not interested in getting sober. I felt like everyone was in my way. I was like resentful that people loved me. I'm like, man, it'd be so nice to be someone who had no family and no one who cared. So I could just like go use and die the way I want to. And so I get sent to Sundown. You guys familiar with Sundown over in Yakima?
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
We know Sundown.
Who hasn't been to Sundown? You know, it's like the spot.
Well, I ain't never been, but man, it's very popular in the recovery community or rehab
in Washington,
community.
Yeah.
I went there, hated it. I was like, this place is disgusting. Like, I got in there.
You're the one to judge, right?
Bro, I got in there and I was like, during the intake, I was like, yeah, when my 5-day blackout, is up and I can use the phone, I was like, I'm just calling my drug dealer and I'm leaving. He was like, you can leave now. There's lots of people who need beds. And I just sat there like, fuck. Like, this guy just called my bluff because I had nowhere to go. I had been dropped off. There was no one to take me. And I was like, well, I'm staying. So
never mind. Cancel that.
Continue with let's get me logged in here. And like, I was just like so unhappy. And my plan was totally to get the fuck out of there as soon as I could. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing this again. I had thought at that time too, that I had like done AA, like I had given it my all. So I was like, AA doesn't work for me. I've tried it, I've done the deal and here I am. And like more than anything, I was less concerned about the drug use and like how baffling and crazy that had gotten. And I was more concerned with like, I just can't live in this head. Like I heard someone say it years ago in AA, and I think it's the best thing I've ever heard. I was like a prisoner of war in my own head, like POW stuck in there, and like anything it took to get out, I was going to do it. I didn't care. Which is like such a like alcoholic. It's just like the selfishness, Like I didn't care who I bulldozed on the way. Like I wasn't going to feel like this. So I'm in there. I'm like so tired. I'm so depressed. If you've ever kicked meth, you guys have not kicked meth. No, you are
I was on fentanyl.
So depressed. Like you have never, remember they showed you the scale of like how high drugs get you. They also show you a scale of like how long it takes your brain to recover from different drugs. Meth, like 2 years minimum for like the neurotransmitters that you blew up to like restore if they do it all, so you were just depressed, like you were depleted, you feel no joy. So I'm in there, I'm so depressed. Like and I'm not like a suicidal person. Like I've never actually planned suicide, wanted to kill myself imminently. I definitely was like, I kind of want to do drugs till I die, but man, I was like, I kind of just want to die during that period. And I was also just angry. I'm like in group, just like arms crossed, like I don't want to be here. I'm not participating. Bad attitude. You can't tell me shit. I already know all about this treatment stuff. Been here a million times, done the AA thing. Like, what are you guys going to teach me? And I think maybe it was like 2 weeks into that process that I finally had this moment where I was like, well, first of all, I got off blackout and I was like, I guess I'll stay and see. I had like this little glimmer of like, maybe I'll just try again, and it was also very clear to me that I really like did not have anything else going on, so I might as well try again. Cause like I did not have a lot of other shit going on and, nothing else was working. And all I wanted was to like, not feel like a prisoner in my own brain anymore. So I was like, all right, I'll sit through treatment and see what happens, was kind of the deal. And that was like a 21-day program. My husband was actually in there with me. He was in treatment with me. He was Patrick. Oh. We were in Sundown together. Wow. I remember seeing him across the room. No, I didn't meet him there because men and women were kind of separated and we were not allowed to talk to each other. But like
we did lecture together.
Yeah, we would sit in rooms together. Like we would sit in like the cafeteria during meals together, but they were at their tables, we were at ours, and we would like sit there and be like, that one's kind of hot. You know what I mean? Like we're talking about the guys. I remember thinking, I'm like, that was kind of hot. And then like, maybe it was like a Christian, I don't know. They made you take your hat off during meals. And then
he did that in treatment for me too.
Dude, he took his hat off and I was like, never mind about my own husband. So we were just like looking at the guys and we did not speak. We didn't meet. Like that didn't happen there, but I had seen him there. And, I got out, I went to a meeting that night, went to Jaywalkers up in Shoreline.
Okay.
And I like ran into Patrick there and I was like, wasn't I in treatment with you? And so we kind of started talking and like, I don't know if we want to go down the whole me and Patrick rabbit hole or not, sort of a side story, but, he was there. And what I decided to do getting sober this time was I looked at what I had tried before and I was like, is there anything I could do differently? Were there any suggestions I didn't take? Because, AA is all about suggestions. You can take them and you can not take them. And you kind of get out what you put in.
Yep.
And so I was like, you know, I never took to heart that suggestion about like no dating, no sex, no relationships for the first year. I had heard it a million times. I'm pretty sure people had directly been like, hey, Allison, maybe you should try this. And I was like, I hear that. Like, I get how that could be helpful to someone who isn't me. Like, I was like, I'm not relating at all. I don't know what you mean. Like, it just wasn't, that wasn't sinking in for me. So this time I was like, maybe I need to like, I'd had a series of failed, really bad, toxic relationships. And I had gone out over like the pain I was feeling over men multiple times. So I was like, maybe I just need to try that, you know? So I'm living in this apartment in Green Lake alone. My best friend Megan actually moved in with me because I was like, I can't be alone. I'm new and I'm in the same apartment I was getting loaded in and it's triggering. And so she moved in with me. And I stayed out of relationships and like attention from men, like validation from men. That had been like fulfilling enough that it kind of filled the void. So I don't think that I had really like dug deep and like looked for a connection with like a higher power or like God or however you refer. I just say God, it's easy for me, but it's very much like kind of a universe, higher power sort of concept, I guess, for me. I had just filled the void enough with like the attention and the validation and like the obsession around relationship that I hadn't really had to like pick that tool up, you know? So I didn't do the guy thing, which was hard. There was a lot of like getting too close to the line and having to like back it out and be like, oh, I'm doing that thing again. And dude, it was so painful. Like it was so painful. I have never like sat with myself with nothing to reach for like I did in the first, like, I think I lasted 8 or 9 months. I didn't make it a year, but it was long enough. It was like a very long time for me. And I have never just been like fetal position in my bed, wanting something to make me feel better and having nothing to reach for like I did in that period of time. And I feel like I was forced to pray when it felt really stupid. And it felt like the last thing that was going to help me, you know, when I was dying. They talk about the flimsy reed and like, I don't know if do you guys know Janet? So shout out to Janet. She always talks about like you're drowning and someone throws you a blade of grass and they're like, grab on, this will save you. And you look at it and you're like, dude, I'm fucking drowning. Give me a life raft. Give me something substantial. And then they're like, here's a wisp of grass. Like that's what God felt like. I was like, this is hilarious. Like, how is this going to help?
It's a great analogy.
That is a really good
Someone
analogy.
throws you a blade of grass when you're drowning and they're like, grab on. And you're just like, that couldn't possibly help me. But I was desperate enough to try. I was like, fuck it. I'll grab the grass. I got nothing else, you know, touch grass. Right. Like I was like dying. And so I tried it and I was like super uncomfortable this round of sobriety for the first 9 months. I mean, I was in my first step for 9 months. And I kept being like, are we ever going to move past it? I started working with a woman right out of treatment named Megan, who like saved my life. She is unbelievable. That was the sponsor who sponsored me till I was 9 years sober. So we worked together forever. And I don't remember why I brought Megan up, but where was I going with that?
You were going with the fact that you were now trying. You had been 9 months celibate or like not dating. And so now celibate, staying out of relationships, took that advice. I was in my first step until about 9 months and we would meet every week. Dude, it took me 9 months just to get through that reading because I talk so much, as you've probably noticed tonight. Like your girl can yap. And so she'd be like, check in with me. And my check-in would be like 50 minutes of our hour. And then we'd read for 10 minutes or whatever. And so it just like took what it took. But I honestly feel like the universe knew what it was doing there because I like needed to sit in like the second half of the first step, which is that our lives were unmanageable. Like I needed to like live kind of like what we were talking about. I only learn through like painful experience, right? I needed to like sit in my shit and realize how unmanageable it was for like 9 friggin' months. Yeah, I use the analogy of like sitting in a poopy diaper. And you gotta sit there and you gotta sit there and you gotta sit there and it smells like shit. And like,
and you got diaper rash and it sucks.
It's terrible. It's the worst. But it's like, but while you sit there, it's like you're not getting loaded.
Yeah.
And like, this is like the miracle of what's going on is like, you're uncomfortable. You're dying, you think. Yeah. And then you're like, wait a second, but I'm not dying like I was, like that.
It's a different death.
Yeah, it's a different kind of energy that you're like, wait a second. And if you can get to that point of like gratitude of like, oh, but wait a second, it's not as bad as it was when I was getting loaded. And along the journey, you might just have that epiphany of like that obsession being lifted of like, I don't even like obsess about getting loaded today.
That part.
And then like you realize that part on the journey and you're like, man, this is actually okay.
Yeah.
Like this is a whole different experience that like, you know, when you do the work, you gotta put it in. If it was easy, everybody would do this. Right? And so you're on your journey. You're doing the work, it sounds like.
I'm doing the work. Yeah, I'm doing the work.
You had to get through certain parts of it. And now
I'm sitting in it. I was really, it's so funny, like all the corny sayings, right? We got the one day at a time. I don't get any of this stuff till it happens to me, but I had this like realization because I was dying during that 9 months. I was uncomfortable. I was unhappy. I was like still a prisoner of war in my own head. And I'm the type of person, I don't want to feel uncomfortable. I'll go and pick something up to make it go away, right?
100%.
And somehow I really like credit the universe with that because I don't know how I sat through that long being uncomfortable for that long because I would usually just call it quits and do something to feel better. But I remember realizing that I was having like a very one day at a time experience because I would wake up, I would get through my day, I was miserable, I was uncomfortable. I would tell myself at night, like, I'd be like, fuck this, I'm getting loaded tomorrow. I can't do another day like that. I would wake up, something would propel me through my day. I'd get to the nighttime and I'd be like, fuck that. Also horrible. I'm never doing that again. I'll just get loaded tomorrow. And I did that for 9 months. And what I realized eventually, I didn't realize it while I was in it, was that like I was literally staying sober one day at a time. And what I also realized, you know, early on in this round of sobriety is that it did not matter if I wanted it, because I didn't want to get sober when I went to treatment this time. I was highly resistant.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if I wanted it in early sobriety. I didn't. I was like, I need to get loaded tomorrow to escape the way I'm feeling. But also kind of like my feelings around this shit don't matter. Like that's been a really helpful lesson to me is that the way I feel about it doesn't matter as long as I'm doing it.
Yep.
The miracles will still happen for me, you know? And so I'm like painfully trudging through that first 9 months. I'll never forget the first moment I had where I was like, holy shit, am I getting better? I was driving in Wedgwood and I saw this mom walking with her baby and I'm like 22, 23 or something at this point. Like, I'm not a mom. I'm not someone who's like, oh my God, babies. That's me now. But back then I was like, could care less, right? And I see this mom and her baby walking and I remember being like, God, that's so sweet. Like I had this moment of just like, they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at that beautiful child. Like it was this like soft moment of like realizing someone else existed and like sharing in their joy. And I remember being like, who is in my head? It was like an intrusive thought. It was like God speaking to me because I didn't have thoughts like that ever. I was so self-consumed that like to see someone else and be like, that's so beautiful, I'm so happy for them, was not an experience I was having. So it like stopped me. I'm driving and I was like looking around like, what? Who's in my head thinking these thoughts, you know? And I was like, oh my God, am I like becoming part of the world instead of being like trapped behind like all I see is me?
I think that's like when I kind of explain like God is sitting at the table. My disease is sitting at the table and I'm sitting at the table. And I've been chopping it up with my disease this whole time, my whole life. And God would like try to interact and we'd be like, hey man, shut the fuck up. We're talking here. We don't need to hear from you. And what happens is there's this transition while sober that like God starts to like get a little time on the mic. And you're like, hey man, you shut the fuck up, disease, for a second, because we ain't really been doing very well, you and me. So then let's hear from this guy. And then there'd be those moments of like, well, that sounds pretty interesting. Like, what if I did that? Or like those ideas that you're no longer with the POW. Yeah. Like me and you are fucking, we're at war, fighting and everything. And then we get this guy who's just like this, and you're like, I've been here. I heard about you. And so, yeah, that's the part that I can relate to.
Or there's a breakthrough and you finally hear this person who's been talking across the table for the first time or whatever. Yeah. I just remember being like, oh my, like I stopped long enough. And I really think that all the work we do, right, in the room is like to, it's like to start creating these pauses where like something other than like our own internal dialogue can like come in. Cause I didn't have any of that. I didn't pause long enough to hear or see, like I remember driving down 85th and looking at the Olympics. It was like summer night, the sun is setting. And I remember being like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. And like, I wasn't having that experience. My whole life as a kid before the drugs and alcohol, I wasn't having that experience.
Yeah.
You know? And like this program has allowed me to like get out of my own way enough occasionally to like notice the sweet mom and her kid, notice the sunset and like be part of this world, you know, because I was just like a little creature, like crawling the bottom for so long. I didn't like notice the people and the stuff that was around me, you know?
Yeah, I do know.
So that was like 9 months in. I was like, oh my God, am I having an experience? I always have my experiences like kind of in hindsight too. You know, you look back and you're like, whoa, I'm changing. From there, I mean, we talked about inventory, right? This round of inventory was the first time I was truly, completely honest with anyone ever. I don't think I would have done it if the woman I was sitting across from hadn't been like, here's the dirtiest, most shameful thing I've ever done. Mm-hmm. And I remember being like, okay, that's like right on the level of what I'm about to tell you that I thought was like the most shameful thing a person had ever done. Mm-hmm. That was like pretty comparable. So I'm just going to like, my heart was racing, but I was like, I'm just going to fucking spit it out. I'm just going to say it because I want to be free. I don't want to protect myself anymore. I just want to be free. And I did. And that inventory was insane. Like it was 12 hours long. I got there 8 a.m. I left at 8 p.m. I've never felt so beat up. Like I felt so raw and beat up after that inventory, dude. I went home. I did the 6-step, right? I like sat quietly and meditated about it. And I didn't feel better right away. Yeah. I have people, you know, who like read inventory and they're like, dude, I feel terrible. Like I thought this miracle was supposed to happen. And I'm like, just give it time. Sometimes it takes a minute for like the weight of what you just went through to kind of like sink in. And that was my experience. I think like a week later, I was like, oh my God, I've never felt so free. Like I have never felt so unburdened. You know what I mean? And I think that's really when things started to change for me. Like the most was reading 5th Step. That was like a transfer, you know, like kind of a transformational part of my recovery.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go to like where I think, you know, what interests me about this is like, I couldn't imagine you with like skin off your face, right? Like I can imagine, but like right now you're sitting here with 12 years of sobriety. Yeah. And like, you know, what are the gifts that have occurred? Like you talked about Patrick, like we've had Patrick on. Yeah. Your husband has been on. And
that's my man.
That's your man. And
he's so cute. I was looking at all the clips with you guys and I was just like, I love him so much.
And I say that because it's like, all right, so now your journey starts and now you're sober and you've stayed sober till today. Yep. And so like, what are the gifts and what are the things that you've seen just show up in your life? And of course there's hard times, but what's up? Because I think you're talking about like, anyway, keep going.
We'll start with Patrick. How about that? So Patrick, taking that time, not being in relationships and like learning how to be okay on my own really changed the caliber of man that came into my life after that. You know what I mean? Like actually Patrick and I had started talking right after I got out of treatment and we were kind of like almost crossing the line into like, is this sexual? Is this a relationship? Like multiple times. And I finally realized like I didn't know how to be appropriate at all. Like I had not learned what a boundary looked like. So I was like, I don't think we should talk anymore, dude. And he was like, totally. And he went and worked his program and I went and worked mine. And then maybe a year sober or something, we started kind of like talking again as friends. And he had changed a lot too. Like I wasn't quite as into like the Patrick I met straight out of treatment as I was, with the Patrick who had like recovered for a year. And I'm sure he felt the same way. And we started hanging out and like, I've just never been, I don't think I've ever been like such an equal in my relationship. Like there is no hierarchy there. You know what I mean? And I don't think I knew how to have a relationship like that or be with a man who treated me like an equal until I took some time out of relationships. That shit was transformative for me too, like big time. And I work with a lot of women where I'm like, dude, girl, I would suggest strongly that you like step away from the man thing for a while, because it will change your life. You know, it'll change kind of like your whole relationship with other people, especially men. And so we ended up together. I mean, we've been together like a year shorter than we've been sober. So 11 years or something. We'll be married, I think it's 7 this December, which is crazy. Like,
yeah.
I had like a 2-year expiration date on my relationships prior to Patrick. Like, it just did not go past 2. And yeah, so I mean, we got married, we bought a house together, which was crazy because people like us shouldn't be able to buy houses. You know, we were living on houseboats that didn't run with guys. We had to keep like a fucking 10-foot pole between us and them. Yeah. I mean, and Patrick, you know, if you haven't heard his story, listen to the episode, I guess. Right. But he also, like, that man has no business buying a house. So yeah, we were able to buy a house together. We were able to do that because we had met people along the way in our careers and kind of in our journey and in recovery, actually, who we know some developers, right? And they're like, hey, like, we have this lot. Do you want to subdivide it? Like, you take the front house, we'll develop the back house. Basically, we get in for half price in Seattle, which was like an unbelievable deal. So we were like, hell yeah, let's do it. It was way too small for us. And it was like a dump. There was like a hole in the floor that looked into the crawl space, but there was like a rug over it when we toured it. So we didn't know about that. Like, there was just like all sorts of shit, you know, lots of rodent activity, you know, just the type of thing that, like, yeah, we got it and it was a total dump, but we like studs out renovated that house and lived there for 2 years and then like sold it and did really well, and we were able to get a house that actually like works for our family. So like, we've just been taken care of every step of the way. You know, I see a lot of people come into the rooms and they're like, well, I got to get my money right and I got to get my housing right and I got to whatever, and it's like, it actually never works that way. You have to do like the spiritual, mental, kind of physical recovery part, and then like all the other stuff kind of just falls into place.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's been my experience. And you meet the right people and like God just takes you where you need to be for like the doors to open, and like, you know, the doors you shouldn't be going through, those close for you. And so yeah, we were able to buy a house. We had a little girl, 7 years. So we have a 7-year-old daughter, Kennedy. She like, man, I think AA helped me with my selfishness, and then like having a child snuffed out, I won't say whatever was left because I'm still selfish as hell. You know, there's a lot of work left to be done, right? But like, you think you got rid of some selfishness and then you have a kid and then you're like, oh, I was still so selfish. Like now I'm being forced to like, this person is my priority. Right. And what I want and need always comes secondary to this person. And so Kennedy was like another really good lesson in, just like, you know, getting rid of some more of that selfishness for me. And she's been raised in a sober home. Like, she's never seen her parents loaded. Right. And we like work the program to the best of our ability these days. I have a story around Kennedy and recovery and kind of like amends. Patrick told my story at Magnolia because I didn't get to tell it, but I'll tell it on here. We were renting my parents' house, the one in Green Lake, actually, because they moved to Vashon after we had Kennedy. So she was like a baby. She's our first kid. We have no idea what we're doing, right? We're just like Wild Westing parenting, as everyone does, I think, when they have a kid. And we lived a couple houses down from this woman named Marilee. She is someone that like in my youth, Sam and I actually, we went and I knew her work schedule because like this woman like grew up next to me, right? She was a nurse, single woman, owned her own home, worked her ass off to get where she was. Really a sweetheart, always took really good care of me. We went and robbed her house because I knew she'd be at work. I knew the back door was unlocked. I knew she had a lot of, her dog actually had some really great drugs. And so we were like, we're going to go take the dog's drugs. She had a boyfriend who actually also was like one of us. He had an addiction issue. So she had like a bunch of morphine that was his. Like, we took everything. We also took like irreplaceable family heirlooms that were hers too, that we were going to pawn or whatever. So we just like robbed the place. And when I got sent to treatment, the third time, I guess, whatever, my parents went and got all my stuff out of the apartment with AK, and they found a bunch of Marilee stuff. And they, of course, knew she'd been robbed because they lived down the street from her, and everyone in the neighborhood's scared because there's people robbing the houses in the neighborhood. And they were like, why is Marilee's stuff at your apartment? You know? So, that was an amends I never made the first time either, right? I held stuff back in inventory, and I didn't get like through all of the amends because I was too scared. So this time around, I got to make amends to her. And then one day, Kennedy is sick, right? She's a nurse. She's a nurse practitioner, actually. Kennedy's sick, and I think she's like coughing so bad that she can't breathe, and her little face is turning blue, and we're panicking. And I'm like running down the street to Marilee's house with my baby. And I'm banging on her door, and she like comes out. She's got her stethoscope. She's like checking the baby. She like helps us take care of this baby. And like that for me, and this story always makes me emotional, but that for me is like what happens around here when we amend the harms that we've done to people. Like, you know, a couple years go by and they'll be like saving your baby's life. You never know, you know? And so thank God that like I was able to right that injustice that had happened to her. And, those amends weren't just financial. It was also like, I'm sorry, I stole your sense of security in your own home, and I scared you, and I made you feel like you weren't safe. And we were able to like clear all that stuff away so that then she could show up for my kid and stuff. So that's just one of those moments that is really like a hallmark of my recovery when I think back on it.
Yeah, those are magical, right? Those are the things that like people wouldn't even imagine could happen. Yeah. You steal from somebody, you rob somebody, and the next thing you know, the into the future of this journey, you're now running down the street to go have your baby seen by this woman that you robbed. Like, who would ever thought? I
ran to the house that I robbed, and I was like, "Hey." I mean, screaming, like hysterical. And she was just like, I've got this, like, you know, did all the stuff and took care of our kid. And I remember after that moment, like, this never would have been possible if I hadn't worked this program and made things right with her, you know? So, and I mean, since then, that poor woman, I'm sending her like pictures of my kid's rash, you know, like she's like, she's in our corner for sure. Right. Yeah, she's the best. And so, that's just one of those moments. Like really, truly miraculous shit happens around here.
Yeah.
You know, it really does. And I've got a lot of examples of just moments that were miracles, right? Like the fact that our daughter is being raised in a household that's like recovered people are taking care of her, you know, and she's wild. Like probably both the girls wild. If karma's real, like I was a terrible teenager. I fear for my life when these girls are teenagers, but like, hopefully they're going to see some behaviors modeled that like maybe I didn't see, and maybe they'll have like a toolkit that I didn't have. Yeah. And hopefully that will help them in some capacity. Like Kennedy's got, you know, the existential dread and crisis sometimes. And I like direct her to God. Like, I'm like, hey, like when it's too big and it's too much for us to deal with and things feel really scary and it feels out of control, like we can like trust and rely on something bigger than us that's going to take care of us and loves us unconditionally, you know? And so like when she's scared at night, we pray and she like goes right to sleep. You know, I really do feel like these tools have like a wide application for a lot of people. And I wish I would have had something like that to comfort me as a kid. So we try to like implement that stuff with her.
Yeah, my son, he brought up God the other day. You know, like these are these moments like you're like, what? And like this just wasn't in the cards growing up for me. So
yeah, I wasn't relate. I wasn't raised with any of that.
Yeah. No, I can relate to that. All right, so what are you doing these days? Like, what do you, mama bear? You work.
Yeah. I had another baby a year ago. Yep. So we got 2 little girls. JoJo is the little one, Jolene, but we call her JoJo. She is wild as hell. Like that little girl is straight up feral. I love her. Like she is just like my little honey bear. My God, she's so cute. But had another baby.
Yeah.
Career is crazy. I don't know, 3.5 years ago now, I was working. So I own the interior design business, right? I got sober. I still had that business. I did that for maybe 6 years with my partner at the time. And then I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to be doing this anymore. I think there was some like conflict between she and I, like a lot. There was so many amends to be made there, but there was a lot of conflict between she and I that had built up over the years. A lot of it being my fault. I didn't realize that at the time, but I was really like the chaotic kind of like energy that was happening there with my relapses. And like, I was dating the developer we were doing business for, and that was like really hard for her in hindsight, I realized. And, so, I did that. And then I was like, I'm going to go back to school. And at first I thought I wanted to do psychology, and then I thought I was going to go to law school. And then I got pregnant with Kennedy, and I was like, you know what? Probably not law school. And I ended up at UW, which was like also one of those miraculous moments where I just couldn't believe it. Cause again, someone like me should not be walking through. I felt like I was at Hogwarts. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like just the architecture, UW's so amazing, So I went there, really good at school. Again, like esteemable acts create self-esteem. Like I had like a renewed dedication to that, that I had never had before, because I think when we're sober, like kind of, we have the backing of God. And so we're able to do really bold things with our life. Right. So I like went in there and I was like, I'm going to fucking crush this. And I did. Super good at school. And, that really helped with my self-esteem. It was also hard. I sort of had one of those like smart people in AA moments where I started like, tackling things with my intellect, and it was really working out for me. And so it became difficult to like compartmentalize the fact that like that doesn't work in my recovery. Yep. That works at school, but it doesn't work at all in my recovery. So I went through some years that were kind of painful. I would say years like 4 to 9. It's like a long time where I was like really intellectualizing this program, and that did not work at all. But school was great. I got a marketing degree, kind of went into some marketing jobs after that for a few years. Like that also was not where I wanted to be. And I we had a kid at the time, right? Yep. And I was like, man, I had this dream. I was like, I want to get back into interior design. And I also want to do real estate because I want to help my friends, all these people who are like, I can't afford to live in Seattle. I want to help them gain access to the type of opportunities Patrick and I had, right? So I was like, homeownership kind of changed our lives. Like in terms of our financial landscape, it changed our lives. We could not have made the amount of money we made in those 2 years saving or working at a W-2 job, like a 9 to 5. We couldn't have done it. So I wanted that to be more accessible to my people. And I had this dream. I'm like, I'm going to do a combo too. I'm going to help people with like the design part. Cause if you buy a dump, there's a lot of like decisions that need to go into how you update it. I have a lot of contacts kind of in the trades that we are able to call in favors from to get that place renovated. And I was like, I want to combine all that into my career. But again, the scale, I was like, man, that seems like really scary and like really uncertain. And I won't have like a consistent or a guaranteed income versus like I'm staying here. I'm getting paid enough, to support my family, like pay for our childcare and whatever. And eventually it tipped. Like I was so afraid of like not following this dream. Like that became scarier than like going without consistent income. And so I did it. Like I finally, back in 2022, end of 2022, I got my real estate license and I just like threw everything I have into it. And I think you guys know, like as addicts, I mean, when we're like determined to do something, we're going to do it. Right. And I've actually always been that way my whole life. I'm not interested in doing anything I don't want to do, like at all. But if I want it, like I'm going to get it. Right. Yeah. And so that's just been year over year growth in a way that I can't even imagine, like lots of imposter syndrome and then just continuing to thrive. And so I've been, it's hard to believe I'm an imposter at this point. Like I think there's been some proof that I know what I'm doing. So this year has been the year where I've gotten my people into houses too. Like this year has been amazing. I'm working with my sponsor right now. We're trying to find her a house, her and her son actually. And that is a relationship that was mended through AA. So it's just a beautiful thing that they're buying a house together. Right. I've got a couple active buyers right now that are our people. Who else did I get into a house from our community? There's more. I don't know. There was a couple buyers at the beginning of the year as well.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line is like you've turned it around. I mean, you've become very successful through your recovery and like even starting to help out the community itself and doing like what you said you were gonna do or what you wanted to do.
Oh, and real estate is the other thing about it is like we've got a bad rep. Like people do not like real estate agents because they can kind of be like a little snaky. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily the most like honest and forthcoming career. And I deal with a lot of people and I'm in transactions, like someone on the other side of the transaction where I'm like, dude, I hope I never have to deal with that broker again. Cause there's a lot of people who just don't move in the way we move. Right. And so for me, I think it's been really kind of like disarming for other brokers for me to show up honestly, because I try to like practice these principles at all my affairs, including work. And it can be difficult when you're like negotiating because you are trying to get your way on behalf of your client, right? And you ultimately represent them. But like doing that in a way that doesn't feel dishonest. I've really, this last year too, I've really like come into my own in my career where I thought I needed to like be a certain way the first couple years, right? To be successful. And this year I've really just leaned into like authenticity and just totally been who I am, which I didn't think was going to translate to my professional life, but like it's been great.
Good.
Yeah. That's
like honesty is very disarming and like kind of charming to people. And so to just show up as your authentic self is like, people are like, wow, okay. People like it. Yeah. I don't know.
To be honest with you,
yeah. To be honest with you, it's like made me quite successful. So.
Yeah, it's better than like I'm about to lie to you. Hey, so all right. So now, I think it's time to just talk about how those people that are struggling out there, like what piece of advice do you have for them? Yeah. At this point, because like I don't know, I just appreciate your honesty and truth tonight in your story. And now like you get to like close it out with like what do you want to say to the world per se of like these women or whoever it is that you want to speak to, because I think you have a great message. So yeah.
God, that's a big ask. I don't know. Yeah, mostly I would be speaking to women because that's typically who I'm interacting with kind of on this recovery journey. And I would just say like what's been really eye-opening for me is that, and I think I said it already, right? Like you don't AA or like whatever recovery journey you're on, right? Like it was built the way it was built because it works. And it's been working for a very long time for a lot of us, and I've been through lots of points in my recovery where I thought I was smarter than this. I thought I was better than this. I thought I wasn't good enough to do this work or whatever, both ends of that spectrum. And it hasn't really mattered how I've felt about it. Like I've heard people say like, recovery isn't for people who need it. It isn't for people who want it. It's for people who do it. Mm-hmm. And for me, it has not mattered how I felt about it or how perfectly I've shown up in it. If I have done the work as it was outlined for me by someone who's gone there, who's walked that path prior to me, like all the miracles have come true for me. Period.
Yeah. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way I felt about it meant nothing during the journey. It was just about putting one step in front of the other and like continuing to trudge through it. And the other thing I'll say is like, nothing lasts forever. Like the really good times haven't lasted forever and the really bad times haven't lasted forever. Like everything changes and gets different. It's always going to get different. So I've had some years where I was really like trudging and I wasn't like particularly enjoying myself. Yep. And if I kept doing this work, eventually that changed and got different. Yeah. So you're not stuck if you're in a really hard place.
Yeah. It's a good message.
Yeah, that's what's up. Thank you. You got anything to close us out? How you feeling?
Yeah, no, I just am really grateful to have you on here. You and your husband are like the dynamic duo. Like she was just talking about throughout the pod about hearing her speak and her husband. It's always like people that I want to reach out to get suggestions from. So I'm happy to have you on, and it's been great to hear your story more in depth and like get to know you on that level.
Maybe too in depth. That drug part was gnarly.
I really like the sweater. I really like the sweater.
Oh my gosh, the fibers, small neon fibers in the eye.
Come on, that's
fucking killing me out there, bro.
Speaks to me, yeah.
Killing me. I was like, I will scratch these eyeballs straight out, and there was truly nothing there. So.
Yeah. First time meeting you tonight, so I appreciate you.
Your first impression.
Yeah, that was dope. Yeah, neon.
We can move past the green fibers.
Yeah, we can.
The neon green.
Yeah,
they were multicolored every time. Okay. It was a mixture. It was like green, pink, every time. Yeah.
Well, even if you have fibers coming out of your eyes, you can still own a house.
Yes, you can.
Yep, that's right.
That is my message to the people listening tonight. Yeah.
Only thing that matters.
Yeah, well, that's, thank you. Mm-hmm. We appreciate you so much for coming on here. It's always an experience to like just sit down and hear your story uninterrupted or someone's story. And that was a piece of work right there. So we thank you for everything that you've done tonight.
Yeah.
Episode 23 is very important. This will probably be an episode that, shout out to the Mariners.
Oh yeah.
The Mariners
are killing it right now.
Might as well just win the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
But this will be probably put out by the time we might be in the World Series. So, hopefully we make it there. And I just share that because,
it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
People are going crazy here in Seattle.
Yeah, the little boy in me is just excited. So, what a vulnerable story. Thank you, Allison. We appreciate you. And, Sober Champs out. Thanks a lot.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Yep.